Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm your host, Scoot, as joined always by Brad, with special guest, the third brother, Bear. Welcome to the Clone Wars episode. I wish I had some music to play.
Yeah, and they get shut down for copyright. We know to turn the Disney music off before we start streaming.
How's it going, everybody? How we doing today?
Gonna be good.
We got our lightsabers. We've got folks. We got Bear here. The three brothers are together.
Yeah, probably because it works because we got into Star Wars together about what 97, 98, maybe
97 when the special edition came out.
Watched the special edition on VHS. We borrowed the original trilogy from our friends while the special edition was still in theaters. And I don't know, did we ever give those original trilogy back?
I don't think so. No, I think we might have, because they had the flat box edition.
Oh, that was a cool. No, because they had the widescreen, they had the letterbox edition. Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, I'm Leonard Malton.
What's up, John?
Yeah,
Man, we should have had John over here too.
Oh
That'd have been
God,
awesome.
man.
We should have had John.
Part of the 501st. How did we not have John over here?
Yeah,
He could have come dressed up in his pilot.
and he's
outfit.
basically our brother. So
Yeah.
Four brothers.
So yeah, we invited Bear over this week because there's no way we could talk Star Wars without having Bear here. So literally, you guys have seen him in the chat. Bear's the oldest, I'm the middle, Brad's the youngest. So we are legit blood brothers.
And then we have two sisters that'll show up sometime. I guess if we ever draw a horse, Misty will show up.
Oh, you were close, Hayashi. You were close. We have Vader. Brad actually has Yoda's
Yeah,
lightsaber.
it's a tiny lightsaber.
It's a tiny one.
Yoda's.
Yeah, he has Yoda's.
Yoda has always been my favorite.
Bear does have Mace Windu's, and I have Darth Vader's.
Bear has about 6, because you have Ventress's, right? And
Bear's got a
two-
collection of lightsabers.
And
So.
Sidious.
Sidious, Dooku, and Hit Fisto.
Good lord.
Yeah.
I have Yoda's and a custom one I made of my own.
And despite today's subject being Darth Maul, I'm sad and don't have a Darth Maul lightsaber.
Which today we're gonna focus on Darth Maul, but if we have time, there's gonna be a short presentation on Yoda, specifically his Force arc in the Lost Missions and how it pertains to his fight with Sidious in Revenge of the Sith and how it redeemed it. But if we can get dark for one moment, so you mentioned sad. If anybody hadn't heard, George Perez announced today that he has inoperable cancer and he's not even going to seek treatment because it'll cut into the limited time he has left. If you don't know him, you've probably read Infinity Gauntlet. You've probably read any of his DC work. He did Wonder Woman, Crisis
on Infinite Earth.
He's
Yeah.
known for doing big pieces full of characters, and that's why he could draw the entire Marvel universe fighting Thanos. And so it's going to be a sad day when he goes, but I'm also kind of glad he's going out on his own terms.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of people get.
Brad and I met George Perez back at God, what was that?
That was Memphis Comic Expo
The-
2.
Yeah, one of the first ones, but he was so nice. I'm actually looking right across here. I have an
Yeah.
autograph print
He was
by
sad.
George Perez. He was
sad
so nice.
He was sad he couldn't get to everybody to draw him a picture, but he promised everybody in line that he would sign something for him, and he stayed after that place was closed. I hate the picture because I was very sick and very out of shape in it, but we're still going to post it
Fat
because
Brad.
that guy's
It's funny because Fat Brad is very in shape compared to most people. So
but he's a legend, so it'll be
He is.
sad day to see him go.
he is an absolute legend. But Bear, you've never been here before. How are you?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm good. I'm excited to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was something at the beginning. I think we started, maybe Scoot started watching Clone Wars again first, or maybe both of you did and got me watching it. And I watched it at the end of last year because, of course, we were all locked inside.
Yeah.
And then I was going to give it like a few months to cool off and watch Rebels. And Scoot was like, dude, you need to start watching Rebels now.
Man,
And so we started watching Rebels. And for probably a bulk of this year, our group text has been so Star Wars heavy, it feels like it's 1998 again.
Oh yeah.
It's like all we
it's
talk
amazing.
about. We get into these deep, like it'll start with like a dumb meme, and then it'll turn into this huge discussion, and it's just it brought us back to what Star Wars was supposed to be, which is just fun characters and fun stories, and us talking about it like happy nerds.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
and we're gonna bring up some pictures here in just a second, but to say that we're big Star Wars fans is quite an understatement.
Oh yeah.
My collection is pretty much in a closet right here across from me right now, and I don't have enough room to display it all. Bears is in an attic.
Mine.
Brad's unfortunately got a lot of it got
95%
destroyed.
of it got destroyed in a fire, so I've still got a few Yoda items and a few. Yeah, we've got a little bit of it, but yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a little show and tell here. But yeah, we have been pretty deep into Star Wars. It got to a point to where we were literally buying anything with Star Wars on it, just because. We were such huge fans. So we're going to bring up a few pictures here. They're nothing in particular order. There's going to be some that I'm going to switch the camera, and before I start drawing, I'll show some because I didn't have time to scan them in. But some of these are super fun because a lot of them is us going through Star Wars celebrations, which we've been to many of them. So almost died waiting to see George Lucas.
Oh man, that was like called off guard. They're like, oh, it's gonna be sunny and 70 the entire time, and was that Indianapolis and then it was like 30 and rainy.
It was cold.
Almost died.
It was cold.
Yeah. We all had to share one umbrella, and it was really just a cocktail umbrella.
So I don't remember what order actually I have these pictures in. So
bring them up.
All right, so here's the first one. So this is cool. So this was a celebration we all went. No, this is the one me and Ashley went to by ourselves.
I haven't been back since 2010.
Yeah. So this was 2012 because it's the year before we got married. I actually took to go to this celebration. I discovered that in my HSA account, I had $900, and I never used it because I never got sick, and that's what I used to pay for celebration. So, so that's me and Ashley with Christmas Vader, which is fitting, because we're in the Christmas season. Which, by the way, got a Christmas tree over here with Darth Vader topping it, and then behind me, Darth Vader with a Santa hat on. Oh, and then real quick, back by popular demand. The Brad cam.
Oh yeah.
The Brad cam.
We'll have it up later.
Yeah, we'll have it up later so that you can see both of these guys here while we're talking and stuff. So, but the Brad cam will be back. All right, let's bring up another picture here. So, another one from that same celebration. Of course, me and Darth Maul.
You can see a theme of Scoot posing with Sith Lords.
Yeah, I love some Sith Lord. I mean, Darth Vader and Darth Maul are definitely my two favorites.
It was always funny growing up how you, as like the softest, not this maybe softest in the best term, but
he's saying that isn't fat.
As as in the least confrontational. You and Bear Arm, I was definitely, but like I always say, you and I had like the mobster mentality where I was the little guy who was like, yeah, man, we're gonna get you, and I was just like always up in people's face, and you were in the back just wanting no conflict, but you always,
hey Hallifield, what's up, man?
You were always drawn to villains, and it was like Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Carnage. Even like in 007, you played as Xenia on the top. Like,
yeah, I love
so I don't
probably
know why.
That had a little puberty in there too. I'm sure. But...
yeah, it's kind of like, why did we like Image Comics so much?
Yeah,
I'll be damned if the covers didn't draw us in.
That's true. So yeah, then this is also me with my hair down. Actually, most of these you'll see me with my hair down.
Now his hair's down to his ass, and he can't.
Yeah, it's too.
Don't care.
All right, so this is a funny picture. Again, same celebration. You can tell that I went through my computer first. So this is a picture from Celebration with Ponda Baba over here hitting on Ashley or Mrs. Scoot, and me saying, WTF, bruh.
Well, he's friends with a doctor. He's well connected.
That's true. Where is Eva Zan? Probably dead at this point.
On the ground.
All right, and then one more from this celebration is me doing an Atlas pose. Fitting, since, Atlas is our character. Holding up the Death Star because why not?
Was that an actor as Ponda Baba, or was it just?
Yeah, it was. Those were cosplayers.
Statues, and I was like, that dude put his armor on there.
Those were cosplayers. Yeah, Hallifield, Vader, and Maul.
They're good. They're both great for reasons we'll get into.
We're gonna get into
about how Clone Wars made both of them better.
Yeah, we're just going through a little show and tell first, and then we'll get into a deep dive. I'll be drawing Darth Maul today too. So
yeah. Well, actually, you're not drawing Darth Maul.
I'm drawing Maul from season 7 of Clone Wars.
The Darth after
so this picture here is from our first celebration in Indianapolis. God, what year was that?
First one, 2005.
2005.
I was in 8th grade.
No, it wasn't.
2002.
Yeah, because I had to miss high school. I had to miss school for it.
Yeah, and I remember because I was so hype. I was telling everybody at school, like, I'm going to Star Wars Celebration. And I got back, and my teacher's like, hey, Brad, do you have a note? I don't think Star Wars Celebration's excuse. I was like, my mom wrote me a signal. You want that?
Well, you better write me up then, because I went to Celebration. So I'm here playing a Stormtrooper guitar because, back in the day, and this time I was going to be a rock star. So
It still could happen.
So
Oh,
this,
yeah.
believe it or not, is me and Brad.
I am 8th grade years old. I don't even know what
This
that
is me and Brad. So
mean-
I dressed up as Darth Maul, and by this time you can kind of see the bald cap was kind of coming undone because I did get all my hair under there.
Killed it though, man.
We did.
You looked awesome.
And I've got some in progress pictures to show in just a second of
Yeah.
Bear doing my makeup. So, but yeah, Brad was a Jedi, his own made up Jedi. Was it Plorchamim?
Oh yeah, and it was just it was cool because I get to make my own belt and stuff.
Yeah, he made his
and-
own lightsaber and all that
but
stuff.
You can't see in these pictures, but I'm wearing
Hey Justin,
red
how's it going, buddy?
Chucks. I've
He
got
is wearing
red Converse
So
on.
I didn't have boots. He didn't have boots. So Brad wore red Converses, and I had etnies on because I skateboarded at the time. So, so this is the Jedi and the Sith, you know, burying the hatchet.
Hayashi.
So good.
So this picture, yes, this is me, and Bear's kind of over here off to the side.
Playing 64, so
Plays playing Nintendo
chances
64.
are he's playing Shadows of the Empire.
Probably. So this is and this is a guy I used to play bass with. His name's Daniel. But that's me with red hair. So, but this is part, and I say part of our Star Wars
Yeah.
collection behind us. Me and Brad at this point shared a room. So half of the room was mine, half of the room was his. But our collection, man.
The blue picture over there on the wall is actually a signed picture from Peter
Peter
Mayhew
yeah.
that I've still got. Luckily, it survived the fire. And a quick, unrelated Star Wars side note. So that guy's name.
Matt,
Daniel.
get the fuck out of here.
That guy's that guy's name's Daniel. Scoot had another friend named Daniel they called Danny, and then Scoot's name, of course, his legal name is Daniel. So it was a real Ed and
Yeah.
Eddie situation. But luckily, they all
We all went by
something
different names.
It's true.
So yeah, this is a glimpse, and we mentioned before Brad lost a lot of his stuff in a house fire, but I still have probably all of this stuff with the exception of that Anakin cardboard cutout.
I haven't seen that picture in years.
It's been a long
Yeah.
time. So Brad showed me this today, and I was like, Ratatouille moment.
Yeah, I just blame Scoot for all of the troubles of 2020 because he didn't have red hair like that anymore. And
Philip, we had to
That's-
get rid of Scotch tape, man,
once
after
we,
after that night with you.
once once Scoot goes full time art, the red hair has to come back.
Yeah, so my hair used to be bright red all the time, and then I became corporate and working for the man, and so anyway, here's the last one that I have downloaded on here. So this is me at Target when I worked at Target, and
we were trying to figure this out. Was this during the Blu-ray release? Because they
think so.
re-released
I think this
them
was during
all?
when the Blu-ray came
Right
out.
when they were starting to do the
We put Anakin's helmet on top of Darth Maul's face.
That was the Pod Racer sequel we all really wanted.
I need Darth Maul in a pod racer yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, when I change the camera here, I should probably turn on all my lights now since we're done with the lightsaber bit.
You can never tell that we actually worked our asses off at Target.
Yeah. But I do have some other pictures that I'm going to show as well. So, because Bear brought over a
booklet.
treasure trove
Is
of
it
amazing
Who has
pictures.
those anymore?
Yeah, like
This is before
Um,
things were digital, kids. All right. Well, anything to mention before I get before I switch over to this camera? Okay, cool. All right. So, let me bring up the
oh, she made you something real fast.
what?
I agree.
I think.
Ayashi, you're my favorite person.
Wait, did we even talk about the giveaway? Like,
No, because
so-
I didn't prepare for it.
Well,
So
we were gonna say we weren't gonna announce it. So Scoot's gonna do a giveaway soon. Okay, a milestone.
hey, Stinky Raccoon, what's up,
Because
man?
of course he was supposed to do one for 4,000.
Oh, let me go back here. We're still talking.
He
So
hit 4,000, then he hit 5,000, and we were gonna do a 5,000 giveaway. Then he hit 6,000. So we're just gonna do a pre 10,000 follower giveaway. And for all the people who watch this now or whenever it's out, if you make a Scoot meme and send it to us, that will get you one extra entry in addition to whatever he does. But like, usually you have to comment or be in the stream or something the day of. But you send a Scoot meme and we're gonna post them, and we'll put an extra entry in there. So Hayashi already got his extra entry.
oh my god. And this will be the one to win because it's going to be a full body 11x17. So
Yeah.
get ready for it. Next stream we'll talk about that. Which
Yeah.
next stream may not even happen till after Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit 6-day work week. So
Unless we get you fired.
Yeah.
unless somebody comes and gets me fired. So all right. So let me switch over here. And again, actually, let me just do this one real quick because it's full screen. So I'll bring up a few of these. We'll see how they look. So
Oh, yeah.
this is actually when Bear was doing my makeup for Darth Maul.
And don't
Didn't we make those horns out of like
clay,
Out of clay.
sculpty.
Yeah,
And-
Bear made them. He sculpted them, and I painted them.
And while his hair is not down to his ass like it is now, he still had long hair at this
I
point.
did. It was
Like,
past my shoulders. So.
yeah, it was long hair, so that's all under a bald cap somehow.
Brad Van Phillip.
More memes. I said more memes are yet to come.
So here's another one of me as Darth Maul, with Brad kind of in the background there.
I'd like to point
There's my
out that
there's my Etnies.
I think Scoot and I are both younger than everyone in the chat right now in these pictures.
Yeah.
Because Scoot, gosh, I was in 8th grade, so you were just in high school.
Yeah.
So you were maybe
So here-
15.
Here's one right here. So when Bear and Lisa got married,
Oh,
we actually did a Star Wars lightsaber arch for them.
Yeah. Which was
And
pretty
that's
fun.
why Bear has Mace Windu's. We gave him that. Lisa's actually holding my Darth Vader one right there. So
Actually, Mom was telling me about it when they planned it. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna do this." Like, I don't know, man. Is that gonna be cool? She's like, "I'm gonna buy you Yoda's lightsaber." It's like, sweet.
Yep.
That's the
Those-
best I've
those-
ever heard. And that's how I have. That's a master replica.
Yeah.
Before, because Master Replica used to make all the lightsaber hilts and all the stuff before they discontinued, and I think just Hasbro does them now.
Yeah.
so we talked about Brad and I's collection. So Bear's not to be outdone.
Yeah.
This was a corner of Bear's room.
Yeah.
Dude.
We had to show the marriage picture first to show it was possible.
Yeah.
And she did.
Don't give
while
up,
this
guys.
Was going on.
Yeah.
Don't give up, guys.
He was a keeper.
Yeah. Yeah, we got her into it.
There's some woman out there that you can trap to.
There's a great story of the first year Bear and Lisa were dating, and she was trying to write down ideas for Christmas, and she tried to write Boba Fett, but it was like Bob Feet or something.
Boba
Boba
Feet.
Feet. Yeah.
I was like, oh, how cute.
And
Yeah, a
now,
lot to learn.
she's like, we couldn't talk about Rebels because she's like, if you spoil it, I'm
Here's
gonna kill
here's
you.
another part of Bear's room. And this is when we still all lived with our parents.
Dude.
The
Bear had his own room. Brad and I
Shuttle
shared a
Tiberian
room.
was an FAO Schwartz exclusive.
Yep.
We ordered 4 and had them shipped to the
Yep.
house.
Yep.
They
I
came
still
in
got
the
mine.
biggest damn boxes I've ever seen.
Mine is still in the box.
Yeah, so was mine. That's Lisa's.
I actually
Yeah.
Gifted mine to Adam. He
Uh-oh.
loved it, and I was like,
This was part of me and Brad's room. We had ships hanging from the ceiling. Definitely. There's a
Dude.
Republic gunship. There's a snow speeder.
And I don't know how many times we got hit in the head with ships, but it was
Oh,
worth it.
yeah.
And that Millennium Falcon that probably weighed about 15 pounds.
Do
hanging
you
from
do you
thread.
remember that every once in a while one of those like the bullets would shoot out of the guns just randomly?
Oh, man. Memories.
Yeah, dude, this is good stuff. Here's another part of Bear's room. At one point, he had a whole wall plastered with Star Wars figures.
And then you can see like promo stuff. Man, we loved going into like you can't do it now because collecting is such a thing, and like the internet kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
But man, we used to go into Walmart when we knew displays were going on. Like, hey, I want that display when you're done. They put our names on
There you
it.
go. Before the red was put on my face.
Yeah.
Older than
Yeah, they're plump, sexy. Bear did that in the hotel
we
room.
stayed in.
Yeah. God, we spared every expense on that hotel.
Separate rooms for girls and guys.
I remember
Yeah.
when John went to Celebration with us for the first time, and we go to the dealer's room, and the thing he does immediately is call his brother. He's like, "What do you want, Star Wars?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Anything you've ever wanted from Star Wars. What do you want?" He's like,
It's here.
It's here. I'm gonna find it for you.
All right, here he is, guys.
Oh.
This guy, we refer to him as Hung Solo
And you
because
get one guess. You get 12 inches of guessing.
12 inches of guessing.
One guess.
Because this dude was walking like John Wayne, and I've never seen somebody have to keep adjusting so much.
Yeah.
They had the special room if you were VIP, and we had that VIP pass, and I think girls were lining up to take pictures
Yeah.
as my wife was doing.
I was like, get out of
How
here,
you gonna
man.
cast a shadow on black pants? Like,
But he
they-
got dubbed Han Solo.
I think he did a.
He didn't wear black pants. That was just a shadow.
I think he did a 5K by himself that weekend. It was a one person 3-legged race.
I'm flipping through some more real quick.
Yeah.
Some of these are doubles.
Yeah,
God.
you are.
But yeah, they had a thing where it was like a.
Here's young Brad
Oh yeah.
getting.
That's is that my Rats Terrell shirt?
Yeah, dude.
It is.
So if you guys remember Rats Terrell's, he's famous only for being in the pod race and dying on. And I made a shirt that said "Rest in Peace, Rats Terrell, 1999 to 1999." Dude, iron-on shirt transfers. I went crazy. Like early computer. It was great
because we did that, the Rats Terrell, and then I did the one that was the Gindi Clone Wars.
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Sansweet stopped it. Remember, we were like, Steve Sansweet was like, I don't own that shirt. Where was that one? Where'd you get them? We're like, we made them. And
yeah,
he almost ripped it off your back.
Yeah, he wanted for Rancho Obi-Wan.
I couldn't find that picture because that has all of us standing with Steve
Here,
Sansweet.
We couldn't show a cosplay picture without showing Annie.
Annie, oh
So
yeah,
our sister. That's Lisa and Annie.
Yep. A lot of pictures for being the handmaiden.
Yeah, they sure did. Their costumes were probably the most accurate of the ones we did. So
Mom helped with them. That was like early Annie, like, and just like, hey Annie, we all want these. She's like, all right, and we didn't like. Now there's all these really great visual dictionaries, but at the time we didn't have them. So like Scoot and Annie, I remember you guys watching especially the feed fight.
Here's all of us in that box.
Yeah, we almost tipped that thing.
We all got in there. You could see just the tip of my head up there.
Looking back at these pictures, like, I was a rambunctious little shit. Like, I was just all up in everybody's pictures trying to take stuff. I was just being loud.
That's why this stormtrooper has Brad in a headlock.
Yeah. Also because we asked him.
Those stormtroopers were super cool.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we did when we walked in that day. We didn't know what to do. We walked in and just took pictures.
Yeah.
We were like, there's stormtroopers. Let's take pictures.
Yeah, because I remember when you and Scoot got into that thing, it ruined our pictures because everybody was taking like flashes and were going off, and because you and him were Maul and Sidious, and it looked so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's our show and tell, guys.
Yeah, man, good stuff.
And Star Wars, like I said, we tapered off for a few years, and kind of we all went our way doing our adult stuff, and then Force Awakens kind of brought it back a little, and then Mandalorian, and when we started watching Clone Wars right around when we got into Mandalorian again, that got us back to where I've been reading books, I've been reading comics. It's so fun, and even going back and watching like Gindy's Clone Wars, what a masterpiece. Like, all I need the master, Dave Filoni. I need him to make Captain Fordo, Art Commander Fordo, canon again. All right, see you, Stinky Raccoon. But
see, man.
Yeah, John, we have a few more. Actually, I almost wanted to share one. I've got one from early Acon where me and John are just photobombing, because remember we used to photobomb as many pictures as possible, and then try to find them on like Acon forums when people would post their stuff.
I tried to find one because I know I have them somewhere, but when John left his birthday party for the launch of the Star Wars figure,
when I was buying all of them,
ran across the street, kind of inebriated, got in the car with us, and we got to Toys R Us at midnight, and he was 2 feet taller than all the kids in there, grabbing the figures. Hey guys.
He was like, Scoot, you got this one, you got this, because I was literally buying everything that night.
A picture of him just towering over people, just grabbing figures and handing them back to us, but I can't find it, man. It was what a great time.
That is something that I will say, like, I love the internet, and I don't like to be too much of a curmudgeon. Social media is a whole separate thing, but like, I remember some of the best stuff used to be figure hunting, and it's because like, and I'll remind you guys, like, looking at our Star Wars collection, remember we were poor, and
Oh yes.
what we were good at was finding deals and collecting. So like, we had tons of toys, but that was balled over years and years, and so like, we used to have family who lived in Holly Springs, and if you guys don't know that area, that's just like Kiss Your Sister, Mississippi. It's middle of nowhere. And so there used to be this old school Walmart that wasn't a super center, and motherfucker, they had the best Star Wars figures. Like, if it was a rare figure, we would want to go down there and look. And so when we go see our grandparents, we'd be like, we gotta stop there.
Yeah.
And
so it was you never went there and didn't see a rare figure.
And that's like when Power of the Force 2 was going strong and the green cards were all out, that's where we found Palpatine, the Emperor toy that you could find nowhere. And now, unfortunately, the internet has ruined all that. One, you can either pre-order them all out the door, or it's a mad scramble to pre-order them, or like, everybody can check in stock now and go to the stores. And it used to be you had to just get out and haul ass around town. Like, we used to get up crack of dawn and be like, all right, well, where are we going to hit first? Well, this one's most lucrative, so we're going to start here for these toys, looking for Efant Mon or whatever toy was the hard one to find at the time. And I think it's one of those things that's going to be like a bygone era. I don't think it'll ever return. some things they still do that way, like going to conventions to get exclusive toys is always cool. But the going out and just hunting for toys, the secondhand market's too prolific these days. It's too much eBay, too much anything like that. Oh, Philip's not wrong. Backwoods GameStops usually have some weird shit on clearance. That's where I got my Samus Buster. So like, but yeah,
it's those lightsabers, all of them.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes GameStop, they get like old school Target when they get scared and put stuff on clearance.
Oh man, so when we were doing a remodel at Target, God, in 2010, I was looking for treasure. So we pull up the baseboards of the gondolas, and I finally find it in the food section. Somebody like, so if you guys didn't know, back in the 90s, when you found something hard to find and you couldn't buy it, you hid it. I'm pretty sure it's technically illegal, but we used to like go and hide stuff under baseboards or put it on top of high shelves where only we knew where it was. Ooh, hiding them under the bike section at Walmart was the best.
Toilet paper.
So yeah, just places with deep shelves and stuff, and we'd go back and get them. So when we were remodeling in 2010, I found under the baseboards in the food section, in the consumables, somebody had hidden a 12-inch Power of the Force 2 Emperor Palpatine, and I had to pull it off the ground and basically rip it out. And they ended up selling it to me for like $4, and it was just like an awesome find. It was in the worst possible condition. You still have it? Okay, I gave it to you. Great stuff. It was just hilarious to find, and then everybody's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "This is from this, and it's this line, and we have this," and just talking about it. And it was more of the discovery. It's kind of like geocaching. It wasn't worth anything, but it was an awesome find.
Yeah.
And also any shining light in the cesspool of Target is good to remember.
Yeah, that's the truth. So I guess we'll preface, because we're probably jumping into this Clone Wars talk here. We're gonna preface this with there will be spoilers. So,
and I was gonna say something even better. This is your last warning. Anything over a year old, we're going to spoil. I think that's a reason. 12 months is a reasonable enough time to say, like, hey, we're going to talk, like, in December 17th next year, we can talk about No Way Home without any concern. We just, hey, we're going to talk about Spider-Man. If you haven't seen it, it's been a year. Get off running.
Fuck out. Yeah.
So,
get off my lawn.
So, yeah, we're about to talk about Star Wars in depth. And man, guys, I made a whole page of notes for this, like an outline, and I left it at home. So it's going to be a little disjointed, but it's going to be a little more roundtable anyway, because we got the three
First of all, if you have seen all of Clone Wars, sound off in the chat.
Yeah, what I don't know what you could throw in the chat, but is there a lightning bolt emoji for Sidious?
Oh my gosh.
Let's see.
Is there a devil for Darth Maul? Ahsoka emoji.
Yeah, here, just throw a storm cloud in there. That's the best we got. Unlimited power as long as you have a thunderstorm going. But I know what I was thinking about today is you guys are gonna have to remind me of a character from Rebels. I can't believe I don't remember his name, but he was the Imperial general guy who had the staff like Zeb.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, I can't remember his name. I should have looked it up.
You talking about the main dude that ended up being the?
Yeah, he defected.
Oh my god!
John and I talk about him all the time.
He had the best arts.
Callus.
Okay, so Callus and Darth Maul have a similar beginning. I remember watching Rebels, and I was like, this guy is pull off the shelf, dust off a villain archetype, and throw him in the show because you need a villain. He's kind of bland. He's okay, but he's just there to make you like the heroes more. Darth Maul is sort of like that, except for Darth Maul was always fucking cool. Like, he always looked badass. As soon as we saw his in promo art, Scoot was like, I got a new favorite.
Yep.
Vader
he's
was
red.
His favorite.
Are you kidding me?
And he comes out, and he's cool. He's got what you'd call a Boba Fett mystique. He comes out, he stands in the background, he only has a couple of lines, except for he got a really big fight, because that was what the prequels were about, were showing over-the-top action. But he got the Boba Fett mystique, where he's just like, at last we'll have our revenge. Like, who are you? Like, you're like 30. What do you have revenge on the Jedi for? Like, and he came out, and then
my reference here.
Yeah, I mean, who else? Everybody who saw this in the theaters, heart sank when the feed doors opened, the hangar doors opened, and he's just standing there like, he was so extra. He was just waiting for two Jedi to show up and fight them, because then he was going to kill Queen Amidala. And
Oh yeah.
then he fought, and you're like, okay, he killed Qui-Gon, so he's a pretty good duelist, and then he fought Obi and he died. The end. And you're like, for years, you would hear people say, man, Phantom Menace had some bad acting, it didn't have the best direction.
But we love Darth
But
Maul.
there were two things people loved about it. Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. And I can't argue. Both of them are badass. Pod racing was cool as shit, too.
Yeah.
People liked Obi doing it.
Oh, yeah. Well, but Obi was, I guess, two new things.
Yeah.
Obi and it was always cool, and then Ewan McGregor made him badass again. But Darth Maul was always kind of like, yeah, he was cool. He had a double-bladed lightsaber, and he jumped around and flipped and had crazy force powers. And that would kind of be where he ended. He would have been a one-shot stock villain, because he is not unique.
No.
He's even to Sidious's schemer and planner, Darth Maul was the brute. Darth Maul was the blunt object that he sent out to do his dirty work. And that's all he is. He's an archetype. And he could have, but instead,
I need a better Darth Maul reference.
I'm assuming George Lucas okayed it, or maybe even put forth the idea, but Dave Filoni brought him back into the canon and turned him into one of the
Darth
most
Maul stuff
complex,
everywhere.
and you guys can back me up if I'm wrong or tear me down, but arguably one of the most tragic characters in Star Wars.
Who is Darth Maul?
Darth
Oh,
Maul,
yeah.
Maul at this point, because
Maul,
of course once he took Tyrannus, he was no longer Darth, and then and you even get into that, like I love how the fact like why was he so powerful in Clone Wars is because he spent what 12 years or 15 years in the sewers living on rats, festering in his hatred for Obi-Wan, and then later it ends up becoming hatred for Obi-Wan, but hatred for Sidious more. Like the last episodes, if you guys, once again, Hayashi watched him, I know, he talked about in the final episodes, his whole goal was to stop Sidious, but Dave Filoni took it. And I remember we were at Celebration when they revealed Savage Opress coming back in Darth Maul's brother, and they got into the whole Sith witches, which was I guess they're Sith witches, the dark witch from Dathomir. Super fun stuff. And then they brought Darth Maul back, and Scoot and I were talking about this just a second ago. I was like, man, that feels like a cheap pop. Feels like they're going for legacy. They're just like, oh well, Clone Wars is doing pretty well, but if we bring Darth Maul in, we'll have more fans. Or maybe it'd be a one-off episode, like every once in a while in Rebels they showed Leia, and instead what we got was this incredibly complex character. And first of all, his spider legs were out of control.
Yeah, they were awesome.
They were scary. And so Darth Maul comes in, and I love it because Savage Opress, I like his juxtaposition as a Zabrak. How he was like basically steroided up on the Force and used, and in the end he didn't want to be any of it. He just wanted to live his life, and he only took the role that was given to him to protect his brothers, which is very un-Sith like.
Right.
And then I like, though, even though the dark side had corrupted him enough that when him and Maul first joined back up, I remember Darth Maul was like, oh, I see what this is. You think you're the master. And they had a fight, and Darth Maul put him in his place. Dude, Darth Maul served him. And I even
not like the Emperor served both of them.
Oh yeah, so I liked how Savage Opress wielded this massive amount of force power, but he had no kind of control over it. So he was a bazooka and would just fire it off, but couldn't do anything. But yeah, the Darth Maul came back, and he had a great, like, him trying to get revenge on Obi-Wan, and even like when because who went with him and died? A Jedi went with Obi-Wan and died fighting Darth Maul and Savage. And I thought it was somebody like Ayla Secura, somebody who had a established
it was somebody.
Story. I don't think it was. I was just naming her, but I love that because that's when, because Obi takes the fallen Jedi's lightsaber and dual wields him and Savage, and at that point, which I thought was super cool, is Darth Maul had his hacked side of the lightsaber. Like, he held on to that for 2 decades to fight Obi-Wan with again. And then and Savage had his double blade, which was super cool. And I love how he wielded it with one hand. Like, he kind of like how Pong Krell wielded his 2 double blades with one with all 4 arms. But it seemed like they were just going to use him for like a little revenge plot, and that was going to kind of be it, and it would be over. And then he shows up corrupting the Mandalorians, the Death Watch.
Yeah.
And movie on it.
Dang it! Why does it?
It was Adi Galia.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So yeah,
I saw her in my head, and I was like, "What the fuck is her
I want
name?"
to say Stas Ali.
Ali, yeah.
Prophet says I think Darth Maul might be in the Obi-Wan movie on Disney Plus.
If that's the case, oh my god.
I think he's going to show up in some form. It might just be him like talking. He might be like whispering across, because if there's one thing Rebels taught us is that Darth Maul and Obi-Wan were connected to the end. And when Darth Maul got really interesting is when he came back to help Death Watch, and they're like, oh, we need this help from this old dark Jedi now, and he's going to help us take Mandalore. And they like took over the entire crime syndicate. One thing I liked is he tried to chump out the Hutts, and Jabba wasn't going. That was really cool to me, because I was like, man, Jabba was always supposed to be this huge intergalactic gangster that even the Empire really didn't try to take out. They left him alone. Like, Vader knew that Boba was working for Jabba and just let it happen, you know? And they kind of let him peacefully exist. And so they didn't chump him out, but they took out like the Black Sun, which is cool because Shadows of the Empire. We need that TV, man. Or we need that animated series.
I'd watch it.
I would watch that all day.
Dash
Rendar and the Outrider and Prince Shizur. Dude, so much good stuff in there. And but the Darth Maul went and took over basically the entire crime syndicate. That's when we kind of created Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
Which, who else didn't shit their pants when he showed up in Solo?
Yeah, and
I sure did.
I know who didn't. Mark Winchester, because he was so lame on his canon, he didn't know he was the ruler of it.
Oh.
So I remember he's like, why are they going to throw Darth Maul? And he's not supposed to be there. It's like, he's the leader of Crimson Dawn.
No, you're back, bitch.
Yeah, and so, but it was really cool because it showed him and Savage just going and chomping people out. And then I like it because, gosh, what was the leader of Death Head's name? Bo-Katan's uncle or something. Yeah. Well, I like it because he fought him and Darth Maul just straight executed him, whooped his ass, and executed him and took the Darksaber. And oh my god, what even when
Darth Maul with the Darksaber was so awesome.
And when he, I liked when they captured him and Savage, and they were in the little cell on Mandalore, and he's like, Savage opened the door, and he just like knocked the door. He's like, let's go for a walk, and he like walked around, and they found that guy who was their puppet leader.
Yeah, so my pencil, yeah, it does have a tumor, but it helps my hand not cramp. So.
But it was really cool because I liked it because he was manipulating him, and then you get through that whole thing, and then he may not be a Sith anymore, but he definitely was not just a rogue Jedi. He was a dark Jedi, because what did he do but lure Obi-Wan to Mandalore and kill the only woman he ever loved in front of him?
Oh my god, dude.
Just to make him suffer. And I love that he couldn't let go of that, and he was trying to go for revenge. Like, dude, you already killed Qui-Gon. You killed his master. You couldn't like suffice with just that. So no, he came and killed the woman that could have possibly made Obi-Wan leave the Jedi Order. I don't think he would have, because something else they exemplify with that scene is George Lucas and Dave Filoni both said the closest Obi-Wan ever came to going to the dark side was when the Duchess was killed by Maul. And if you remember that scene, he looks kind of upset, and then he leaves, but he flees the fight because he's like, there's no point because I can't save her. And more importantly, he comforts Bo-Katan in that moment. And he's like, that was your sister, wasn't it? And he's like, I'm so sorry. And he so the dark
Obi went straight to the sister
for like a millisecond, and he immediately shut it down and went back to being a peacekeeper like he was supposed to, which is wild. But the only thing that could top that is when I think one thing they might have done best with Clone Wars is how very little they showed Sidious. He would pop up in a hologram every once in a while. Like when he told Dooku to kill Ventress, he was like, I'm tired of your apprentice killer. Yeah. And it just like, and he did it. And then they attacked him in his pajamas, Dooku's pajamas. But they've used Sidious very, very little. And then when he was sitting there, and he's sitting in his little, because I think it was Palpatine they were showing, and he's sitting there like, playing poker on his computer like he's been doing for years, and he was just like, oh, there's something I feel. I haven't felt this in a while. And he's like, hey, bring me my ship. And he comes out, and then he steps off of Mandalore, and I love it because his ship just lands. He doesn't get clearance or anything. He walks out with the robe on, and there's Mandalorians who are trained Jedi fighters. They're trained to fight Force wielders.
Not one.
Yeah, and then even think about that. The leader of Death Head, fought Darth Maul and did pretty damn well. Like, he got beheaded in the end, but he got a few good hits in. Like, against Darth Maul, that's crazy. Sidious was walking in, didn't even have to do the Luke to the Gamorrean guards. He was just walking and choking people and throwing them off of buildings. He was opening doors, and when Darth Maul saw him, that was like, Darth Maul had fear.
That was a realization moment. Like, he's like, I can't win this.
And then, like, Sidious and what was he doing? He wasn't affecting Sidious's plan. He just insulted him by living. And even, like, you could think of it as, like, he saw him as a loose end. Like, if he decides to tell people, because you never really, you find out later that he knew who Sidious was. And then he goes in there, and when he dropped those 2 lightsabers, both of them at the same time on Sidious and Savage, and he took both of them to church, took him to school. He was visiting professor emeritus of Florida State University.
If there's a woodshed in the galaxy, he took him.
Dude, hyperspace woodshed. He served both of them, and then he was just like blasting electricity, killed Savage just to piss Maul off, and then electrocuted Maul. And the thing, I don't know, that it might have been in a comic, might have been in a book, because I know there's a comic series called Sons of Dathomir that's apparently really good, but Sidious says he has other plans for Maul, and you never find out what they were, but then next time you see him, he's still in charge of Mandalore.
Right.
Because maybe the crowning achievement in Star Wars is Darth Maul's, is the final, was it 4 episodes? Or is it 3 episodes of the Clone Wars series? If you haven't watched them,
that is quintessential Maul.
They take place over the period of Revenge of the Sith. The 3 episodes cover the entire, except for the epilogue, takes place over the entire series, or the entire movie, which, of course, if you know Revenge of the Sith, takes place over 4 days. And so there's stuff happening in the background that is wild. Like, you're hearing about Anakin killing Dooku because Ahsoka returns.
Yeah.
She realizes she has to go back and help free Mandalore from Maul, and they're taking the whole 501st. Obi and Anakin are going, and they get recalled to Coruscant, which the only bad thing about that is it retconned Gindy's series. So Gindy's, where they were on the Outer Rim, was no longer canon. Right. But I love it. Like, who didn't want to shed a tear when you saw the 501st who had marked themselves like Ahsoka? And so they gave her a detachment, and they went to Mandalore to free it. And then you're hearing, like, Obi-Wan report to her that he killed Dooku, and then you hear him that he killed Grievous, and that they're going to arrest Palpatine because he won't give up power. And you're seeing all this stuff happen in the background. And it's other than House of X, I think number 2, that is an excellent example of why we need, I guess you could call it a ret probe instead of a retcon, because it does nothing but add to the story. It didn't change anything. No. Nothing was removed or devalued by telling Ahsoka's side of the story for Revenge of the Sith, and it was exceptional. And the best part, of course, because she goes to Mandalore and she runs into Darth Maul. And Darth Maul, I should have watched the episodes, but if I remember correctly, he's been having Force visions of what's coming.
Yeah.
And as somebody who was once Sidious's apprentice and is now on his own, he is the only person other than Sidious, because Dooku didn't know it either. Maul is the only person who saw exactly what was about to happen.
Yeah, and he was honestly terrified by it.
He was scared. He said he was, let me see, I've got quotes pulled up here. He, Cities before it's too late. But I'll find it here in a second, but he was so afraid, because he even when the end of that episode is Ahsoka shows up and she yells for Anakin, and he says, "I was hoping for Kenobi. Why are you here?" And it's Maul, and you're like, so Darth Maul hates one thing most in the universe, and that's Kenobi. Yeah. But he was so afraid of what Sidious was about to do, the direction Sidious was about to manipulate the galaxy into going. He was going to put aside his hatred for Kenobi and go fight Sidious. Like,
That's wild.
It's
Yeah.
wild because Darth Maul is definitely, especially later, maybe because he was manipulated by Sidious early on, he became very self-serving, and he only looked out for himself. I mean, he didn't even seem to really care about Savage Opress.
Yeah.
But Darth Maul called his biggest enemy. This is the same thing. This is even. It's not even the same as when like Xavier and Magneto first teamed up, because they were friends before. And Darth Maul has hated Obi-Wan since the first time he ever met him, and has hated him for.
It's literally been his only drive to keep him alive.
They talk about that's what kept him alive in the sewers. He's just like half a body alive in the sewers, and he hates him. And I love when Ahsoka, because Ahsoka is an excellent example. Her and Obi are probably the best examples of what Jedi should be. Obi-Wan's an example of what a Jedi should be all in the council, like in the Jedi Order, and Ahsoka's what they should be separately. But I love it because he is like, okay, well, you'll do. Let's go kill Sidious. And he is trying to convince her, and she, of course, thinks he's manipulating her. I love it because she's, because he also says he was hoping to bring Anakin there and kill him, and deprive Sidious of his apprentice that he's been grooming for, gosh, at this point, what, 20 years? Almost? Well, he was 9 in Phantom Menace, and by the end of this, he's like 20, like mid-20s or something, like late 20s, because I think it was like 10-year gap between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and like another 5 for the Clone Wars.
5, yeah, 4 5.
So he's mid-20s, and he was going to kill him, but then I absolutely love it because Ahsoka's trying to appeal to him, and she's like, she says, with your help, the Jedi can stop Sidious before it's too late. And he said, too late for what? The Republic to fall? It already has. You just can't see it. There's no justice. There's no order, no law, no order, except for the one that will replace it. And he saw the coming of the Galactic Empire. And I love it because he said the Jedi, the time of the Jedi has passed. They cannot defeat Sidious, but together you and I can. And it brings up an interesting point.
Could they
Darth
have?
Maul have done it? Maybe his knowledge of the dark side would have tipped the scales. Because I always said, like, they just watched Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Agent Kolar, and Saesee Tiin.
Yeah.
All, well, 3 of them got killed within 3 blocks apiece.
Yeah. Before he was done screaming like a raptor.
I think, was it Agent Kolar who got clipped first, then Saesee Tiin? Kit Fisto did 2 blocks and got taken down. Mace Windu, interesting fact, is the only person to ever best Sidious in a lightsaber duel. Granted, he only had like 3 fights. Well, there in his canon earlier on, he had more. But they watched him do that, and Yoda went and fought him alone. And I was always like, why didn't he take Obi-Wan? Like, you'd think he would take anybody you could at this point. But I think, which I can explain later why I think he didn't take him. But maybe he understood that it didn't matter. Who cares if you took Obi-Wan? Who cares if you took 1,000 Jedi? Sidious is so powerful that it had to be him and Yoda. But maybe Darth Maul, maybe in like some AU, Darth Maul shows up and he's able to do something about it. But regardless, of course, Ahsoka, being the good guy, does not take him up on his offer, which leads to a great moment where he whips out his lightsaber and it's the double-bladed one again. And I somehow, that didn't get spoiled for me. That entire arc did not get spoiled for me. I knew how Darth Maul met his end.
Yes.
I didn't. I still didn't know until I watched Rebels.
I knew what happened, but I didn't know what happened in Clone Wars. I didn't know he had anything to do with the end of Clone Wars.
Me either.
And when he whipped out that double-bladed lightsaber, it might as well have been 1998 again, or 1999.
Might have well been MTV.
Yeah. I played Kid Rock before this. It was like the only time, like, Ball with the Ball started, and I was in there I was fist pumping, I was jumping up and down, and then him and Ahsoka, I used to say that there are a few lightsaber fights, like, Vader and Obi's on Mustafar is pretty badass. I mean, because they are 2 Jedi at their peak, fighting and jumping around and doing crazy stuff, and 2 people who knew each other so well, they were going to have a prolonged fight because they each had to kind of change on the fly. But Ahsoka and Darth Maul's fight may be the greatest lightsaber fight. Arguably, of course, the greatest lightsaber fight. And just how they're doing it and how they're fighting, it's so beautiful. And then, of course, something I shared with Hayashi was, is if you watch that a lot of that fight was mo-capped. They had Ray Park and another stunt double come in, and they did the motions for it, which is even crazier because that fight was wild all over the place,
Right.
and it was exceptional. And of course, we can't give like a blow by blow for the fight,
No.
but the part that was crazy to me is at the end when Maul was bested, Ahsoka is saving him, and he's like, "Just let me die.
Yeah. I
Just
don't want to be part
I
of this.
don't want to be part of what's to come. Just let me go. Let me be done with this."
Bye.
And it killed me. I'm like, he is horrified of Sidious.
Yeah,
And
absolutely terrified.
as everybody should have been. And as I call him, the great bamboozler. Like, he bamboozled he had bamboozled two sides of a war in an entire galaxy, and manipulated so many events that, like, I've seen a couple of things where there's a fan theory that Palpatine killed Padme. Instead of her just losing the will to live, he crushed her soul, basically.
Oh my God.
I love that idea. One I don't like is somebody said they think he threw the fight to Mace. And I was like, man, that's taken away from Mace Windu, who's supposed to be the greatest lightsaber duelist of the time.
Yeah.
Which brings up another interesting point. Of theories that fill in and help close loopholes. A lot of people were always kind of like, hey, how did Darth Maul, the Sith apprentice, beat a master and apprentice Jedi? So Qui-Gon and Obi stepped to him and he whooped him. I mean, It was never like Qui-Gon was defensive on him, but never really had him. And when he was ready to kill him, he took him, and he even separated him. He fought them well. And my thought was always like Darth Maul came at them with such rage they couldn't, and that's Obi-Wan kind of channeled that, was how he's able to counter it. But then I thought also that maybe Qui-Gon was just more of a philosopher. He was more about the living force, and he being in the moment, and he wasn't about the dueling. But somebody brought up an interesting point, was until, I mean, because one of Darth Maul's only lines was, he said, "At last we reveal ourselves to the Jedi." And before that time, I mean, Yoda was the only one who had a living memory of any sort of dark Jedi. So no one lightsaber dueled anymore.
Right.
Nobody had to worry about, if somebody pulled a sword, like if the best sword fighter in the world stepped out today, it doesn't matter if all three of us jumped him, he's going to kick our asses. But it doesn't matter if we all have bigger swords. That dude, I always say, a samurai with a knife's more deadly than me with a katana. And it's all about how he wielded it. And Darth Maul, apparently part of his training was Sidious sent him to kill a Jedi, just like go out on a mission and kill a Jedi and come back, like an initiation. So Darth Maul had practice, plus he had to duel Sidious in his training. So Darth Maul was fresh and ready to fuck shit up. Yeah. And so they came around and they weren't ready for him. They were completely unready to fight him. And so to me, I thought that was a very interesting theory of how he dealt with them. But then Darth Maul, of course, gets put in that awful sarcophagus like that.
Oh.
It is a horror show. But as we know, Disney at large are Disney, but also Star Wars loves their hallway scenes.
Yeah,
Darth Vader's Walk of Death, maybe one of the craziest things we'll ever get to see in theaters. Just coupled with how well they showed him without overdoing. Like, they didn't give him anything he couldn't do in A New Hope.
They didn't try to make him move like Yoda.
Yeah, like when whatever that scene 42 or whatever everybody likes to show, where they redid the battle between him and Ben on the Death Star, and like suddenly old ass Ben Kenobi's front flipping and stuff, and I was just like, it's so out of character because both of them were just talking for one, and Obi was never there to kill Vader. He was there to get Luke out. I mean, to help Luke on his way. So it just didn't make sense. But like, Darth Vader he never flips. He's just grabbing people with the Force. He's cutting them. He's blocking lightsaber fights. And it's not even like, he's not doing like quick ones like you see Qui-Gon and Obi do in the prequels. He's just out there just swinging that thing in beautiful like arches, taking people down. And then the Rebel troopers deserve an Academy Award for that fear they put into him.
That dude was so scared.
And then not only that, but the guy at the door was the guy at the door was the biggest hero, because he saw Vader come in and he wasn't like, open the door. He's like, dude, take this and run. And so that guy saved the rebellion. Screw Luke. I know he believed
that guy is the reason. Yeah,
he deserves a statue on Coruscant.
Yeah, he does.
knew he was about to be gutted by Vader, and his only thought was to save the rebellion. Save the dream!
Golly knows.
Then, last year, have mercy. If I've ever
Have mercy.
if I've gotten to experience anything with John Hayes in the past few years, I'm glad we watched the Mandalorian finale with him.
Yeah.
Because there was a collective silence unlike anything you've ever heard when we saw Luke. When she goes, 1 X-Wing, we're saved. And I was like, I just touched my head. I was like,
It's happening. Guys, it's happening.
and we were flipping out. And it was, like I said, we were all eight to 15 again, just watching that. And then, of course, when they showed the post-credit scene and Boba came in and took the throne, I thought John was going to faint. I thought we were going to have to Uber him home. Like, but that hallway scene, Luke, it's so good because it's almost like the in Iron Man 2, which can be problematic, but the fight with the hammer drones with Iron Man and War
It's
Machine,
amazing.
If you can watch that 4 million times, because first you watch the battle as a whole, then you watch Iron Man, then you watch Rhodey, then you watch Rhodey's turret on his shoulder, then you watch the hammer drones in the background, and it's just so complex. And that's how Luke's is, because he's fighting those death troopers, and he is just cutting some while grabbing the others while blocking laser bolts, and he is just tearing stuff up. And that last one he grabs where it's trying, I love it because it's like shaking and he goes, if you win, tries to shoot a few more times. It's just like,
You just get that little cheap shot in.
yeah, and it just crushed it. And dude, great hallway scene. I saw that first, then I watched the end of Clone Wars. And Darth Maul, first of all, how dire. I don't know how many times they're going to show Order 66 and rip our hearts out.
I do.
I hate it.
But
We're gonna see this shit again. Come on.
Yeah, like Ahsoka, they're gonna make like, oh, here's this new series of like, no, this is right at the end of.
They need to just go ahead and say the new series is called Order 66.
Oh, I agree with you, TJ. Iron Man 2 is amazing. Especially because if you pay attention, the whole segment at the Stark convention, whatever it's called, I forget what it was, Stark Expo.
Yeah. I like Iron Man 2.
It's just a bunch of subplots loosely tied together. It's like raccoons in a suit trying to be a human, but it works out well.
What the fuck? Okay. I don't even know what that means.
Like, raccoons dressing up in a trench coat.
No, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get back to Star
Never heard
Wars.
somebody say that?
I've
like,
never
it's
heard
like
that.
a bunch of ideas masquerading as something else.
Sound off in the chat if you have heard that term before.
But it's not me. I didn't make it up. But
I beg to differ.
Those scenes where like the chase scenes, Favreau apparently was having a hard time with them, so he called in his buddy. Which I like to say, we're talented people. If I need a song or something, I can call Dwayne. I need something built, I can call Bear. Scoot's my artist. I write. We got a bunch of talented people. Andy does costumes. John is building a damn suit of armor right now. Yeah. We're all very talented people, and we all can reach out. But he calls his buddy Gendy Tartakovsky. And it's like, hey, I need help storyboarding this. And if you watch it, there's so many scenes that are straight out of Samurai Jack. Like when Iron Man flies by the parking lot and he sets off one car alarm and it's just going burr, 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 and then all the hammer drones follow in a big rush and all the cars are going off. And then when they're about to fight the hammer drones and they drop and they're slowly zooming in on Rhodey and War Machine, or on Iron Man and War Machine, and it's playing the taiko drums. It's just boom, 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 and they clip their helmets down and it just opens up. That is a scene right out of cinema. That is Gendy Tartakovsky all day long, and love it for that. But got a little sidetracked. But gosh, what was the point of that? Because we were talking about the complexity of a story. So then we get Darth Maul's hallway scene, and
that's
I
what
love
we
it
were
because
talking about.
We're showing Order 66, and I'm watching Ahsoka struggle with it. Rex is struggling with it. Every time it's so, like, if I'm asleep and like my alarm on my phone needs to be "Good soldier, follow orders," I'd wake up freaking out because always so sad when something follows that. But Ahsoka was trying to get away and was so scared she went and released Maul, and I love it because
I love that scene.
I do too.
And I love it because he opens it up and because they exchange a little dialogue, and then he's like, "Will you at least give me a lightsaber?" She's like,
"I'm not rooting for you."
She was like, "You were a distraction, and I hope you die in the scuffle."
There was such respect there.
She knew that was her only diversion.
That was
her only chance. And then his hallway scene without a lightsaber.
He came in wreaking havoc, dude.
Because he's just throwing people left and right, and then when he starts ripping panels off the
Dude,
wall, to
and
block
he
laser
lops off
bolts.
those two heads,
Oh my
and then
God.
he throws one at dude's midsection and staples him to the wall. Like, God
God.
dang, that's
They should
ruthless.
have made that rated R.
Yeah, dude.
He was tearing people apart with panels from the wall, and it was once again a very dark Jedi. I think he was just using his brutality to survive. And what does he do? Once again, we talked about he's self-serving. As soon as he had the chance, he jumped in a shuttle and
Got out of there. Yeah.
And what I liked about that is how Ahsoka sees it and runs, and he's like, "That's my chance out of here." And she just does the where she stops and tries to grab it, and she
Almost
gives him-
does it, yeah.
And I loved it because once again shows how strong she'd become with the Force. But Maul's hallway scene, the theme of this, deck the Mauls.
Yeah.
He was painting the walls with clone trooper blood.
Yeah.
It was brutal, man. Like I
Whereas
remember-
like Rex and Ahsoka were like, we're not trying to kill him, stun him. No, he was murdering
yeah, he
them.
was, and like after they killed the droids, I was ready for him to be murdered. But like that, I remember when we were watching Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and Yoda took off Commander Greer and his other clone trooper's head.
Yeah.
We're like, whoa! Yoda just took him down, like
Yeah.
damn! And like that was like, wow, that's brutal. It was nothing compared to what Maul did to those people,
Yeah.
and it did the job, I guess. And then of course we've got now this gap. Of course, we have the Clone Wars gap, which is only Ezra's what 11 or something when the show starts. So it's like Rebels starts about 10 years after.
Yeah, I never really knew the time period of Rebels.
Well, he was born on Empire Day, same as
That's
Luke and
right.
Leia.
That's right. Yeah.
Because he's the same age as Luke and Leia, and I think he was supposed to be like a preteen by the end of the series, or maybe he was. They did a time skip. But so like for about 10 years, we don't know where Darth Maul was. I mean, I assume he's running Crimson Dawn. I assume, but when he shows back up, he is a shell of who he used to be. I mean, like you kind of feel bad because like at first he introduced us as the old master and he's walking with that cane. I was like, that's a lightsaber I've ever seen one. You ain't hiding nothing. And I love how he manipulated Ezra into helping him.
His apprentice.
Yeah. So he blinds Kanan, and then how he's talking to because he manipulates Ezra and he doesn't get what he wants out of that. And then there's a funny thing right there where Maul, because the only thing that outdid Maul coming back in that episode was Darth Vader coming down on his damn
Oh,
tie event.
God.
Oh my God.
Get out of here.
Dude is all right. You're already like 6'10". You're wearing all black with a few beeping lights. You have a badass helmet, a red lightsaber,
He's
a
breathing.
fucking cape, a breathing. You've got James Earl Jones doing your voice,
Yeah. No.
and you got to be a little extra by floating down
Yeah.
a hole.
Dude,
into an
there's no
ancient
little
temple.
extra. That motherfucker was all extra.
Dude,
He stopped outside the temple
Yeah.
and said, I'm going to ride in on the top of
Yeah.
my fighter.
He had to make that decision to get on top of his TIE fighter and
saw him
sort it
jump the
out.
steps in Return of the Jedi. He could have just jumped down that hole.
He did
Instead,
not care.
he was controlling the flight with the Force just to look like a badass. And to deviate from Maul, I love that other than Maul, they really didn't rely on legacy characters in Rebels. They let their own characters succeed or shine. But what they did great was make Vader horrifying.
Yeah.
Rogue One set the pace for that too, but how like when Ezra is just barely training and then him and Kanan, I think they were infiltrating a base,
Yes.
and Vader comes out because because like the people
ran.
they fought the Inquisition, the
Inquisitor?
Inquisitors.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They would fight them, but
The
when Vader
the
showed
Spanish
up,
Inquisitors.
like I said, it's no like, oh, there's Vader. If we band together, the light is gonna win. It was there's Vader. Run.
Get out of here, yeah.
Run, and they ran and did not mess with him. And like I love when Ezra was like, "I'm not afraid of you. You will die braver than most." And that scene with the fight with him and Ahsoka, because and you think
It was such a
about
good fight too, man.
at that time, the only people alive who could probably have fought Vader to any kind of standstill were Obi, because he was still alive, Sidious, of course, and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some other Jedi that have been kind of confirmed that are alive that maybe have been a match, but Ahsoka was their only hope, and her having to face her old master because
Oh,
there's even
and when
things
he
like
looks at her, oh my
and
god,
he realizes because
Ahsoka.
yeah, and then he like you're like, oh my god, does he feel like love again or something? And it was nope, he hated her,
Yeah,
and it was just so rough. But Darth Maul was cool because he was being manipulated. He was getting the holocron. He got that from I think that's what he was doing, and that's is either that or no. It was later when he went back to Dathomir that he finds out Ben's alive, that Obi's alive.
Yeah.
And I love that because it once again shows that like I mean at that point, unless I misremember, Crimson Dawn was gone. Like his whole criminal organization was gone. He was by himself. And
Oh, lay it down.
oh no, yeah, I forgot about that.
but he but Darth
Sorry,
Maul at this point
back by popular demand. Here's the Brad Cam.
Oh, okay. But Darth Maul at that
Totally
point
forgot
had
about it.
nothing left. And so he was looking for the holocron, and it was going to reveal a truth to him. And I think he was kind of looking for a way to still take Sidious down,
Yeah.
or at least that might be what he's feeding Ezra. But after that, I love his new purpose was to train Ezra.
Yeah,
And every time he showed up, hello, my young apprentice. And
my
like,
apprentice,
right?
like no qualms, didn't give a shit that
that Kanan
the
was right.
Kanan's there.
It was like you walk up on some dude's girlfriend and just kiss her. And
Yeah.
you're just like, what you gonna do? Gig and Chad just like rolled out.
Darth
on him.
Maul looks like the guy that would walk up and kiss your girlfriend in the
Yeah,
mouth.
and-
So.
And he was his lightsaber looked awesome. More like because it was still the double bladed one, but it was slightly different.
Yeah,
And I love that he came through and he manipulated those two so much. And I love when he showed up on their base, and Kanan's like, "Hey, Bendu, aren't you gonna do something about that Dark Jedi?" He's like, I'm the one in the middle. I don't do anything.
it was funny. Darth Maul showed up like he was just waiting his turn. Like, I'm just here to talk to him. Just
yeah, we're just gonna hang out. And I like when he finally found the holocron. He found that Obi was alive, and he found out where he was. And of course, where his story comes to a head is they kind of used Ezra for the story of that to make it a rebel story. But he wasn't needed.
yeah.
It was as cool as it was because he got to meet Obi. That's super cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I like how he was like doing a force hallucination to make Ezra go find Ben.
Oh.
And then when he walked up out of the desert on Obi, and I love he says something like, "Look how far you've fallen."
Yeah.
And Obi just says, "Look
Look-
what I've risen above."
Yeah, look what I've risen
What a
above.
line.
And I like it because Obi's still trying to be the perfect Jedi that he always was. He's trying to reason with him and stop him from fighting him. He's like, dude, there's no reason for us to fight. Our old Coral's gone, We live in a world where all we're doing is surviving, basically. And then Maul keeps poking him, and then finally he's like, I guess you're here protecting someone. Maybe I'll go kill them, basically. And he threatens Luke, and he's like, and it's like, man, you stepped out of line.
Yep.
Got out of line, you got whacked. Everybody knew the rules.
Yeah,
And so I love that because if you watch Darth Maul, or watch Ben, he takes
Switches forms.
he takes his
Yeah.
defensive stance, and then he drops into Qui-Gon's form,
Oh.
and he was ready. And I remember people talking about that fight when it happened. Is they're like, I can't believe it was like 3 hits. We thought it was going to be this epic, like 2-episode fight, and I loved it because he just goes. He's like, I've seen this before. And just cuts Darth Maul.
It was on purpose, obviously.
and it was crazy because I didn't know that's how that fight went down. And I remember Philip was like, "Did you make it to the Darth Maul fight yet?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Man, let me know what you think of it when it's done." And I was just like, in my head, I'm like, "This is gonna be like a knockdown, drag out, slobber knocker, Jim Ross." Like,
Yeah.
and then when I saw it, man, I was just like almost in tears because I was like, "Man, his story's over."
It was poetic because it also showed like when Obi was a peacekeeper through and through, but when it came time to throw down, he was ready.
Yeah,
And even so, he was like Darth Maul, who's Darth Maul's fatal flaw. Like Greek heroes, like all of the Greek heroes, Odysseus and all those, the Greek demigods usually had some fatal flaw, and their fatal flaw was something that they either had to overcome or succumb to. And Darth Maul's was his inability to let go of Kenobi, his feud with Obi-Wan, and in the end, it's what got him. But I think like Obi-Wan had spent years thinking about that. Not only that, but he's been talking to Qui-Gon. He probably was like, "Hey man, if you ever fight this guy again, here's what you should do."
yeah.
And
Don't get stuck in a power reactor
And
with
then
him.
what's even crazier is I remember when he cut him down, because I saw the fight for a long time. Like, I mean, there were gifs of it, but animated gifs, because it was just 3 seconds long. It was a couple of, it was tension and then boom, 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 and it was done. But what I didn't know was when he dropped down and Ben catches him, and he's talking to him, and he's like, "The one you're protecting, is he the chosen one?" He's like, "I think so." And he's like, "Good, then we'll all be." What's he say?
I think he says, he'll avenge us.
He'll avenge us.
Yeah,
And it's like,
that's it.
he's still like, once again, Obi may have taken priority, but he still hated Sidious for everything he did. And that was so sad, because you're still like, Darth Maul was really a broken man in Rebels. As funny as it was every time he called Ezra his apprentice, and as manipulative as he still was, he was a guy with nothing left and nothing to gain and nothing to lose. He was almost like a veteran who came back from war to a country he no longer fit in.
Yeah.
And he no longer fit in the galaxy as it was, the Galactic Empire. And so he was just kind of bouncing around, and he met his end because he couldn't let go of the of the past. And it just makes him so tragic. It's just, once again, we shouldn't sympathize with him. Like, I wouldn't want to hang out with him in real life.
I would. Bring it on, Darth Maul.
Yeah,
You and
bring
me,
it on, Darth
bro.
Maul.
You and me, bro.
But it took Dave Filoni, because of course by Rebels, George Lucas wasn't given input anymore. Dave Filoni took him from being a stock archetypal villain who was, their probably only direction was, we need a silent guy who's going to be like a fighter, and he just needs to look cool. And that's all he was. And he took him and turned him into one of the most complex, most layered, most interesting, and most badass characters in the Star Wars universe, to where, like, I mean, I'd almost say he's cooler than Vader. Like, you can't, because Vader's the all-time biggest badass.
Yeah. And that's the only reason I always say that
seniority.
Vader is my favorite. Yeah, is his seniority. But every time I watch those last 3 episodes of Clone Wars, I'm like, nope, Darth Maul.
And yeah, and so much so, like, we talk about and I think Clone Wars, what Clone Wars and Rebels did for Darth Maul, it did for the entire Star Wars franchise. It definitely did for the prequels. But I remember my biggest complaint used to be like, man, we're watching Revenge of the Sith, and he's like, oh god, I helped kill Mace Windu and my wife's dying. I guess I'm a Sith now? In the Clone Wars, what it did was show Anakin slowly losing his to the dark side. It showed him
I
losing.
almost feel like those movies don't need to exist without Clone Wars.
Yeah. It's almost like if you, okay, so you watched Attack of the Clones? Well, okay, well, you have 7 seasons to get through, get going.
Yeah.
Because they showed him losing friends, family. It showed him losing faith. It showed him questioning the Jedi Council. It showed Sidious or Palpatine manipulating him more. And it showed him, like, if you ever watched, is it called The Wrong Jedi, where they frame Ahsoka?
Yeah.
And
Those are some hard episodes to watch, too.
When because it's at this point, he has 2 things in his life. Because he doesn't trust the Jedi. I guess he has 3. So he has Padme. But he has Obi-Wan as his best friend and mentor.
Yeah.
And he has Ahsoka as his apprentice, who he is clearly attached to. And she's attached to as well. And those episodes where they accuse her, especially when he's chasing her and he's like, don't do this, we can figure it out. And then when they arrest her and the council is deciding her and they decide to hand her over to the Republic, and it shows like the flaw with the Jedi Council is the Jedi Council shouldn't have to answer to the damn Republic. They're a separate entity. They're a peacekeeping third-party force. And instead, they cave to what the Senate wants and turn over one of their own instead of trying her on their own terms. And I love it because as soon as they say they're going to give it up, Anakin drops low, pulls out his lightsaber, he's like, I'm not going to let you do this. And he's ready to fight everybody in there. And you got to think that is the sum total of the entire Jedi Council. Which, I mean, Mace and Yoda could have taken him alone, not to mention Obi's in there, and then Plo Koon, and then all of the guards, the temple guards are there. And he was ready to fight all of them for Ahsoka, which, to me, instead of making him like he looked in Revenge of the Sith, where he's just this lovesick, like super horny guy who just wanted to protect his wife, he's somebody who fights incredibly hard for anybody he's attached to.
Yeah.
He's one of those people who's like, man, he doesn't make friends easy, but once he does, he'll shoot somebody. You just say, hey, like, I got a body to hide. You're like, all right, how many shovels do I need to bring? And so when he lost Ahsoka, that's when he really started losing it. And then she came back, but it was too late because Palpatine was already too deep into him. And it's so then you think he lost all of that, and he lost Ahsoka, and then he thinks Obi betrayed him, and then he's losing his wife, and it's just it makes more sense that someone fell to the dark side, especially after Padme died. He has nothing left but hatred, and so he lives on that. He stayed because I was always like, if I was him, I would have woke up and stabbed Sidious in the face. But instead, all he had was the hatred and his devotion to Sidious at that point.
That's one of my favorite scenes, though, when he's like, no, you killed her, and then in the back you just see Sidious like smiling, like, come on, man, you piece of shit.
Yeah, and so it's this weird thing where it gives so much depth to a character who, I mean, Vader would have been fine on his own. You never needed any more depth. But I think we've both talked about this. I talked about just a little bit, but like watching Revenge of the Sith, the battle between Vader and Obi on Mustafar was always sad because you're like, God, that'd be like Scoot turning evil, and I have to fight him and cut off two arms or two legs and an arm. You know, it's something you.
Who do you guys think was winning a fight between me and Brad?
You know, when he says he failed Anakin, and then when Scoot, like, one of the saddest scenes in Star Wars, when goodbye, my friend, may the Force be with you.
Goodbye, old friend.
That's the last time they're ever friendly with each other, and he's like even breaking up, talking to Yoda because he's like, I don't want to go kill Anakin. He was ready to try to fight Palpatine when he just saw the greatest lightsaber duelist ever lose to him, and he was going to go fight him instead because he didn't want to kill Anakin, but. Of course, the music playing during that is Battle of the Heroes. Yeah. And at first you're like, oh yeah, it's a classic. Well, one of the heroes fell, and what Clone Wars made it was they weren't heroes in the like Joseph Campbell overarching. This is who they are. They were the heroes, and now they're fighting. It's more like they were the heroes to the galaxy because
everybody knew who they were.
Everyone knew who they were. The clones respected them because they never abused the clones, or they never took a risk, expected the clones to risk more than they risked for them. And they were such good people. And then now these two, who were just the last hope, really, are now fighting each other because of Palpatine, really.
Yeah.
And so just the heart-wrenchingness of it playing is just awful. Just the Clone Wars gave that way more weight than it needed.
Yeah.
And it just hits so good because of that.
That's okay. I want to watch Clone Wars again.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ventress. Yeah, Ventress in the Wrong Jedi arc was awesome. How she was just living on Coruscant, kind of doing her own thing. She is one who I feel like had they continued her story, which there's a book called The Dark Disciple with her and Voss, I think is his name.
Quinlan Voss,
yeah, Quinlan Voss. That's really good, but you could tell it was a script adapted to a book because it's broken up like a Clone Wars story.
Oh, really?
But you could tell she was on her path to just becoming kind of like a wayfinder, like Ahsoka. She wasn't going to be a dark Jedi. She was just going to be her own person. Really interesting stuff, which I hope they explore with her more later. I would honestly not be too broken up if they knocked Dark Disciple into AU and main canon.
I didn't like Asajj Ventress at first.
Oh yeah,
I thought she was just a stupid,
Gindi,
edgy character. Yeah, even in that, I didn't care for her.
She was a hot topic Sith.
Yeah.
I'm Sith.
And then
Sith.
And dude, her revenge on Dooku was so fun in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But so Corey's in.
Hey, Corey.
Her fight in the Gindi Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Anakin.
Oh yeah, it really was.
That was a good way to show Anakin going to the dark side. You know.
Oh yeah.
You killed my droid.
Yeah. And I even think like, of course there were 7 seasons, and the first 5 had 24 episodes apiece or 22 episodes. There were bound to be a stinker there, here and there. I mean, the same was like X-Files, one of my favorite shows of all time. But like
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, and like there's the arc with the weird little guy who's inside the droid, and but even that, like you could see Gregor
That's a good point.
be a Republic commando, and he one-man army takes on like a squadron of droids. Super good.
Gregor's awesome, man.
So yeah, there's some stuff, but overall, like, Clone Wars did Mandalorian may have saved Star Wars walking off the plank after the last two movies, but Clone Wars is the one who built the damn plank. Like that show elevated the prequels, enhanced the original trilogy, and was just overall enjoyable. It was just there's I don't know how Star Wars fans can sit on a high horse and not want to watch it.
Yeah, there's no way. You are not a Star Wars fan if you're not gonna give it a chance. First of all.
Yeah, and our favorite thing is animated Star Wars is best Star Wars. I mean, it's if they were like, hey, that's why I said I want Shadows of the Empire animated. Let Dave Filoni direct it from the book, and let's just get like, or let's do a series. Let's do like a mini series. I want like 20 episodes of Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah. I think Dave Filoni's playing the long game. He got us all sucked in with the animated. Now he's like, I got you. I'm gonna do it in live action.
Yeah.
Now.
Which I'm fine.
I'm okay.
He can make Star Wars porno, and I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before. Is I don't think he wants to direct movies. I think he likes his short form storytelling, and I always say that one of my favorite things about Clone Wars was I think they wrote a script and then they just broke it up wherever 30 minutes happened. They were like, because there would be times where like Obi and Anakin would fall out of a vent. They're like, all right, you want to clear the room? And then like they just pick up. Rebels was a little more contained. They made sure to wrap up an episode unless it was a two-parter. But God, Clone Wars, Rebels did a lot. It was very, very good.
Yeah.
But Clone Wars, I think, will be. It did what Star Wars always does at its best. Even when it was flawed, even if it had some low points, it revolutionized what it was part of. So it revolutionized the computer animated TV shows. It changed the Star Wars landscape forever, and it changed how they long form storytell. I mean, so many cartoons like that are just like, you'll get stuff that picks up and comes back, but they have no continuity really between them, and it told a huge story. And even not being afraid to just drop the main characters, because you wouldn't see Ahsoka or Rex or Anakin or Obi, because if they needed to tell a story, they told the story.
They needed to have a party and grab some food.
Oh God, not that one.
It was a bad episode.
But yeah, oh well, since we got a little time, so once again, talking about how you enhance something, how you take something and you take something that I had a problem with. We've discussed this. Bear and I have argued since 2005 when Revenge of the Sith came out and Palpatine and Yoda fought. Me and Bear's been a fan of Palpatine since the beginning. Yoda's been my favorite since the beginning. My first Star Wars toy was a bendable Yoda. Great toy. But we all know Yoda in Empire says, no, the dark side's not stronger, just more like seductive because you can get power quicker. And then in Revenge of the Sith, he walks in and gets served.
Decimated.
I mean, like he has a few cool moments, like catching his lightnings back. Well, walking in and just throwing his guards back was awesome. That was always great. And he walked in and kind of, trash talked Palpatine. But like how he watched Palpatine like raise his hands and then just electrocute him, like, dog, you've seen that trick before. You should have been able to. You're 900 block that shit. And they had a good fight, and I love when the seats rising through the middle into the Senate, and they're swinging the lightsaber, and Yoda's just jumping all around them. And then I always thought what it should have broken down to was just a massive display of force, because both of them were supposed to be crazy strong with the force, and Palpatine was showing it because he was just going. Whoop, whoop,
Yeah, he was just chunking those
just
things.
chunking chairs, and Yoda was dodging him. And Yoda should have never tried to pull. Yeah, never should have pulled his lightsaber out and put it up. He should have put it up, and then like when he called it, he took forever to throw it back. He should, like I said, he should have been just catching him and slingshot him, throwing him right back at him. I mean, if Kylo Ren could catch a laser bolt, which was
Badass. Yeah.
Yoda should have been able to catch those chairs. I always said, had I written that scene, it should have been they were fighting, and Palpatine could have had the upper hand because you could always justify it as Yoda was still reeling from the disturbance and the force of all the Jedi being killed.
Okay.
but he still should have been doing better, and it should have ended with like a platoon of clone troopers coming in and like attacking. So it was suddenly Palpatine and like 100 clones, and so Yoda has to flee. He can't take everybody. It should have ended on a stalemate, just like any good like comic fight, but it didn't. Yoda got whooped. So I was always upset about that fight, and the one thing that saved it was in the Lost Mission season 6, whichever season.
It's linked to like the last 3 episodes. I think.
Yes, the last 3 episodes, and Yoda, which the Lost Missions have an episode where apparently Yoda and the Bad Batch were supposed to go to Kashyyyk and help the Wookiees.
Oh.
Wow, I wish I had that, because if you think about it, in Clone Wars, they showed Yoda they showed him a lot because they showed the Council, but he only had one other episode about him that was centered on him, and that was the very first episode.
Yeah.
After that, he had no episodes that focused on him. So then we got the Force episode, which we've talked about before. Anytime Dave Filoni likes to get crazy with the Force, fucking into
Just
it. Like,
let him do it.
Esoteric, like Aleister Crowley with the Force. It is just weird, and like you're power bottoming people to get a better lightsaber. It's just great. Like the Mortis arc was so weird. And like when the father comes, when Anakin pulls his lightsaber on the father, and he just goes and just pushes it back in the hill. You're like, what did you just do? And like him seeing how him showing, or the son showing Anakin that he was going to be Vader, and seeing that, knowing what he would become, Anakin rejected it.
Dude,
it changes the whole thing, because you see that like
mind.
he rejected it, but then once the father took it away, he could no longer see where he was headed, and he fell into that path again.
Yeah.
Great arc. Also, who would have thought that they would let them get away with that much cleavage on that chick? Like,
Yeah.
my sister was deep cut, like Emma Frost boob window. Yeah, man, that was wild. The digression, but the Mortis arc blew my mind when they did that. And then I watched then we get into Rebels did it really well with the Bendu, because I liked him because he was like this weird giant yak monster thing that showed up whenever he wanted. And like I said, Maul showed up and he's like, I'm the one in the middle. I don't interfere. And then one of my favorite scenes ever is Kanan doing the passionate hero speech to get the fence rider get you off the bench and into the game. Yeah. You're supposed to help. This guy's going to destroy this planet. But when he's like, bitch, I've been here for thousands of years, and I'm gonna be here thousands of years after you're gone. And he kept angering him, and then he came up, and the Bendu turned into that storm and turned into lightning. Started lightning bolting AT-ATs and just destroying everything. And I like that. Like, hey, did your friend come in? He's like, I think so. And he was just running. And I am the light, I am the dark, I am the Bendu, and he's just wrecking shit. What a great scene. And then they got into the world between worlds with so the Rise of Skywalker had the scene where Rey was fighting Palpatine at the end, and when she's fighting back his lightning bolt, his force bolts, you're hearing all the other Jedi talk to her, and they're saying all the different lines, and I loved it because like Hayden Christensen did a line, Mace was in there, Ahsoka, all of them were in there, and it was a cool idea. But Rebels did it better, because in the world between worlds, Ezra's walking through and he's hearing all these lines from all over the trilogy, even pulling stuff from the movies that hadn't been released yet. And it was awesome because you're just hearing all these people talk to him, and then he's looking into these. I mean, he's walking on like a lighted path in the middle of space, and there's holes where he's looking in and seeing different times, like the time travel. Yeah. And he's trying to grip with saving Kanan, and then you get Palpatine over there, over his bonfire, like Macbeth bitch ass, going chanting and Sith, doing soy bombing on that thing, just tearing up that.
I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard at that part. I was like, get out of here.
He had his bomb barrel on fire and was casting a spell to pull Ezra in. And I even like at the end when Ezra faces him at the end and he shows up as Palpatine.
Dude, he does that same chick in the elevator with her hands like on the
Lisa Lamb.
Yeah, he does that on that same barrel on fire bucket with Dooku in the Yoda arc.
Yeah, so he does it with Yoda. So we'll get to that. And I love it then when he's like, "Go, Ezra, be with who you're supposed to be, and he's manipulating Ezra to go with his family, and dude, then he turns the cities. But Filoni, whenever he gets into the Force, I love it.
Yeah.
Because the Force has always been almost like a cop-out for Lucas. He could just be like, oh, the Force is power. You know, it's where they get the power. And that's fine. He should have called the Emperor's Ponzi from fucking Dumbledore over here. That man's out here trying to hit Ezra with the Avada Kedavra. But when I watched that Yoda arc, I mean, immediately I was going to like it because I like Yoda. But when they got into one, they got Liam Neeson to come back and voice Qui-Gon.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. And then,
I'm just gonna say real quick, I'm done with this.
yeah, I'm gonna do a marker sketch then.
Yeah.
Marker sketch of Vader.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll try. All right,
Because we got 30 minutes.
Yeah, you keep talking. Here's Maul.
We're gonna warm up in here now. But yeah, that looks righteous, man. Oh, I see you put the saber in the back. Thank God.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
He looks like he's ready to rip some wall panels off.
Yeah.
Tell us about the wood paneling.
About
About the whatever that metal is, dunium or whatever they use for the Death Star. But Yoda, if you haven't seen the episodes, Yoda gets up. I think he's meditating, and Qui-Gon comes to him, and Qui-Gon has been slowly learning how to come back after death, something no Jedi's ever been able to do, and they start getting into, like, they go through this whole medical thing where the Jedi Council thinks he's being manipulated by the dark side, which is fun, and I like that Anakin helps him escape and give him R2 to go with him.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, how I need a full size of a scale replica of his little baby Jedi starfighter. It's so adorable, but it's the best feature. I'm glad TJ remembered it. I don't like sports. No one does. But Yoda goes and he hears Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon tells him to go to Dagobah. And I'll be honest, when I first heard it, I was like, God, okay, I don't like when you mess with that, because then they're trying to, like, it gets almost like Lost, where Lost tried to connect everything and it just turned into a convoluted mess. Love the show, but it is very problematic. But he goes to Dagobah and he follows, like, the Force fireflies of Qui-Gon, and he has to face, you know, the evil there, and he tells him that he's coming back from he's learned how to merge with the living Force, and you know, all this crazy stuff, and he tells him where he has to go. He has to go do these trials, and Yoda goes to, like, the center of the galaxy where life originated, where the living Force and the cosmic Force blend. He meets the 5 priestesses, the sisters,
Yeah,
and they're all based
whose
on
faces
emotion.
are terrifying.
Oh yeah, they're all in emotion, and it's like, once again, super weird. Like, you think they're like, oh, there's some weird beings who live here, and then you find out they're just like an offshoot weird manifestation of the cosmic and living Force together.
Yeah.
And they put him through the trial, and what I like is he has to fight his dark side.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super weird to begin with. It looks like it reminded me of like a Nintendo 64 or a Mario 64 level, because there was no real planet. There was just like platforms and stuff. So it was all this just like weird, oddly connected land masses that floated out into this nothingness and cloud space. And
It's like better Pandora.
yeah, and then he goes through and he has to fight his dark side, and Yoda, it kind of shows Yoda's hubris as this Jedi master for so long, as he's like, I don't have to go through the trials. I'm a master Jedi. Get out of here. And then they're like, yeah, no, you're not. You're still a child. Yeah. And Yoda has to face his dark side, and he's like, oh no, I don't have a dark side. And then he had to accept that he did have a dark side, that he was and then not only did he have to have that he had a dark side, he had to embrace it and understand it was part of him. He didn't have to succumb to it, but he had to understand it was still there.
Right.
And that, it blew my mind, because it was like, you know, you get Yoda in Empire, and he's the master who's overcome everything. He has no flaws. He's good to the end. You're like, yeah, but he's still a being. He's still a man, a person. And so he had to overcome it. And I think that was when they showed him the visions, or maybe Qui-Gon showed him on Dagobah. He showed the visions. Yeah. And he saw the visions.
Yeah, he went in the tree.
Yeah, because he went in the tree, the cave. He saw Anakin kill Dooku. He saw he saw the 4 masters go fight Sidious and lose.
Yep.
And then I think he heard a few things. He heard some other voices, but so he was getting these visions, and he was trying to figure out how to stop them. That was the whole point. Was he was like, "Holy shit, this is everything's about to fall apart," and the whole journey. He after he completes the trial at the middle, at the core where the metachlorians and the living force all live, he had to go to, was it Moraband?
Yeah,
Morband,
yeah, the Sith planet.
Sith home planet, right?
Sith home planet. And dude, when they, first of all, Liam Neeson came back for this trilogy of episodes.
Yes.
They focus on Yoda. They're getting into weird Force stuff, and then not only do they have the balls to pull Darth Bane into it, and I love it because he's like, "Do you know me?" He's like, "Yes." Rule of two you created, and it's like, whoa, they're getting into the rule of two. They're getting into Darth Bane being the one who created, and Mark fucking Hamill voiced him.
No way,
He
seriously?
voiced Darth Bane. So
That's
like,
awesome.
I'm almost 100% sure, but that was super cool that they got him to do it. And then he's, as Scoot mentioned, Dooku realizes something's going on, so he goes to Sidious.
Yep.
And Sidious pulls out the Ponceave.
Yeah, because Sidious says this may be our chance to strike a big blow to the
Yeah,
Jedi.
because if they could take down Yoda, I mean, they would have disheartened him years before. But then they get their little bowl and they put some of Dooku's blood in
and
it.
he starts going off,
They put they
speaking in
Force
tongues.
lightning in it, right?
Yeah.
And then he's over there doing his gang signs, throwing up his "if you sit, throw it up," and he is just working some magic, which once again I love because they call it Sith sorcery, and it's just instead of
Terrifying.
it being like, oh, they can move on, instead of it being like telekinesis and a little bit of precognition, he's got something else he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what made like Dathomir so cool, because the witches moved the dark side in a different way, and so he clearly knew. He knew a lot more than like Force lightning. Like if you watch Jedi, you think, oh, he only knows how to shock people, but no, you know he's so much more. And Yoda goes there and he goes through all that and survives it all. And the whole point.
Didn't you see Sifo-Dyas in there?
He does, yeah.
Oh, because yeah, he sees a couple of illusions. He goes in and he finds everybody dead. He talks to Ahsoka dying.
Oh,
Like,
my
am
God.
I
Yeah.
gonna be part of the living force still? Am I still good? And he's having to question like the Jedi who left the Order. Are they still good Jedi? Or are we still good?
Right.
What all we done? And then he sees the illusion where Qui-Gon's alive and Dooku's still there, and Dooku's like, come with me, and they're all, everybody who's dead is alive.
yeah.
I think Pong Krell's in the background,
Krell's in there.
which, God, what a sack of shit. But
Yeah.
he
Talk about his sack of shittery
but
another day.
but Yoda, the entire point of it, and he ends up rejecting the
vision.
utopia.
Yeah.
And he's learning through Qui-Gon. He's going on the journey to learn how to survive death and how to win. But the whole time he's also learning that winning does not mean stopping Sidious now. Winning means finding another solution, finding one that, which of course is Luke, later on, the New Hope. But to me, what that did for that Sidious fight, when he went and confronted Sidious, is it changed it from him going, I'm the biggest badass Jedi on the block, and you didn't take me out when you had the chance, so I'm going to go and knock his ass down 2 days into his reign. And it changes it from him just thinking he's a badass and can take him down, and then losing and getting chumped out. Is it changes it to Yoda knows he's going to lose. Yoda knew, he saw this coming. Qui-Gon told him it was coming. Qui-Gon told him to prepare for it in a different way. But he knows Sidious has won. He has been preparing for Sidious to win. But as the Jedi Master, he still has to try. To me, it's I've equated it to the like a knight going to fight a dragon who knows he's no match for the dragon, but because you are this chivalrous good knight, because you are the hero, you cannot just let evil win. Even though he knows, like, if it's 99% sure that Sidious has won, he still has to nut up and go fight the dragon. He had to stand up to old Palp and try to take him down, knowing he was going to lose. So like he went in there, maybe he wasn't giving it his all. Maybe he once again knew he was going to lose, but even though
heard his final line, he even heard like there's another Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, he heard it. Yeah. And so he went into that fight knowing he was going to lose, but still had to try. It's kind of the like Captain America. I can do this all day. It's like, why don't you just stay down? You went to the temple and saw he butchered everybody. You're already putting your exile plan into effect.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just go into exile? But it's like, no, I have to at least try, because if he doesn't try, he couldn't live with himself.
Yeah.
Spider-Man can't let a villain go because it might kill somebody else. And if Yoda thinks there's any chance he can stop a loss of life because he can take out cities, he had to give it a shot and lost. And so I feel like that, if you wrap it into, him suffering the shockwave of all the Jedi dying, it makes a little more sense, I don't know. That's how I always saw it. And I remember watching that. I was just like, he saved that fight for me. Now I can watch it and enjoy it, knowing that he was just confronting the dragon instead of confronting a losing fight already. When he knowing he had to at least try before he went into exile. And that's what I think Filoni does so well. We've talked about that, is how he takes past, present, and future and molds it together. The biggest flaw, the biggest aesthetic flaw of the sequel trilogy is there's no damn aliens from the previous two trilogies, except for Chewbacca and Nien Nunb. And I think later, maybe there's something else, but there are like no Rhodians. There's no hammerheads. There's nobody. Why the hell couldn't you throw them in? You could have helped your damn art department not have to come up with 4 billion new aliens, and it made it seem like they were trying to remove it too far. But if you watch Filoni, one of my favorite things is when Mando first takes Grogu out of. Is he in Mos Espa, or are they somewhere else? Or
Mos Eisley.
They're in Mos Eisley?
Yeah, pretty sure that's Mos Eisley.
Oh well, whatever they are, they're in Mos Def, and they're and when he's going to leave with Grogu, and all the bounty hunters come out, and you see Rhodians, and you see a Zabrak out there, and you see, you saw some of the weird like walrus-looking people from the sequel trilogy. So he blends it all together, and he's like, I'm going to take all the parts that were good and make you love them, and then the parts that weren't good, we're going to gloss over them. We're going to make you forget they weren't that great. And it's such
so good at blending you.
Yeah.
Finding baby Rancor.
Yeah, dude. Bad Batch. My biggest fear with Bad Batch. We won't spoil that because it's not a year old. Yeah. But the Bad Batch was exceptional, and I was afraid that with only one season announced, they were just going to wrap it up. Yep. They were going to tell a story and be done. And I even thought if they decided to wrap it up, or they were going to maybe leave it on kind of an open ending where it's like there was this big battle, like maybe they were leading like a clone rebellion to fight against the Empire, and the Bad Batch is like, let's go, the battle starts, and they crest the hill to face the Empire, and it cuts, and you're like, oh, well, they can always figure out they live or die. But is it Ithorians, the Hammerheads? Yeah. Because they got the lungs. Weak ways, yeah. But Klaatu Barada Nikto, the Potsnikin. We got a deep cut in here.
Potsnikin.
Tick tick keycack. Like Momtak and Kabi. But
Colors Modoc.
I like that. Even he found out that Clone Wars was getting ended, and he didn't just try to wrap it up. He waited until they let him wrap it up, and he is what I think is what you should do as a storyteller is you should start telling your story and hope you have time to tell it all. And if you don't, just leave it alone. And that's where Bad Batch is. He was like, nope, they ended it. It had an ending, but there is way more they can do with that series. And so when they announced season 2, I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Me too. I'm there day one.
Day one, yeah. That's gonna be one where I'm mad that they make you do appointment television.
Yeah, they already announced.
Yeah, they're working on it. I know they announced some voice actors and stuff, and they've been there was somebody who was possibly a little spoiler, and I can't remember who it is now, but yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Dave Filoni can direct anything Star Wars. He can be needs to be their Kevin Feige, except for I don't want him to just be the overseer. I want him to be directing still.
Yeah. You still see he takes over the biggest episode.
Yeah.
Oh, let me set this story straight.
Yeah.
I can
Or-
listen. I wish he would just put out an audiobook of him talking.
A podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A weekly
Yeah.
podcast of him talking about Star Wars.
He even like I love that like I love how he got cinematic with the final 3 episodes of Clone Wars and how they ended. They started with the music,
Yeah.
they ended with
Silence.
the in silence, and then oh god, Vader looking at Ahsoka's lightsaber was just
Oh.
crushing your
God.
soul. But I like how he did it with Rebels too, and then I love at the end when they were showing the cast, and then it finally showed Chopper by Dave Filoni. And, like, I'll take Chopper, man. Blasphemy! I'll take Chopper over R2. That man was out of control.
I think you're right.
And I thought my biggest theory was that Chopper was like the sum total parts of the droids that were destroyed by the clone troopers
Yeah, yeah.
in Ahsoka's arc, but it ended up
Yeah,
not being.
I
It's
thought
just
so,
one
too.
that Hera hobbled together.
Yeah. No, you can't overstate how well he told the story of the last 3 episodes just being the of Order 6 and
Or even how he maintains the continuity with like he's like, oh, I get to retell the end of the Clone Wars. I can throw Caleb Doom in there, and he
Yeah.
threw young Kanan right next to.
Dude, that's the first thing I said. Guys, it's
Barriss
China.
Was it Barriss Hafiz's?
Yeah.
Yeah, his master.
Step
Threw him in there, and then how they like
Shepherd Balaba.
of
Oh,
Bilal.
there you go. Excuse me.
Dude.
How they threw in small, like they reanimated that scene, and then of them sitting around talking about Utapau and all that,
Yeah.
and how they were just
We were sitting watching that with you guys, and we're like, damn it, are we gonna have to watch?
Yeah.
That's what I said. We gotta do this shit again.
well, because then they showed they were like nearing the end of the Clone Wars, and they showed us like, oh, they're about to show yeah, it was a double
Yeah.
one. You said
Yeah.
double one. We're about to watch him lose his master. Because, dude, I'll tell you where I was so skeptical of Rebels, but where it got me was when Kanan, when they're like, I think it's about time we you pull out your secret weapon or something. He's like, kid, but to let everybody in on the secret. He just grabbed 2 things off his belt, goes and pulls out a lightsaber. Ooh, he cocked a lightsaber. He shotgun racked a lightsaber and blew our minds out with it, Kurt Cobain style.
Yeah.
Painted the ceilings. It was awesome, man. It was, and so like little things like that. I think.
carrying a blaster around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Luke, man.
yeah. Like I said, that was a Ralph McQuarrie love letter from Zeb
Yeah.
to I mean
Chopper.
even
Yeah.
Chopper. I mean, what's his name? The even Kanan. He looked
Yeah.
like an expanded universe character
He
that
did.
used some of his ideas.
And I did not think I was gonna like Kane.
And then I remember we're all waiting for Scoot and I had watched it. Scoot watched it because I was like, I'm gonna hold off. I don't need to. And he's like, dude, get to it. And I was like, all right. So I watched it. I was like, dying. And then Bear started watching it after, but he had to watch it. He watched it with his wife, so he watched it a little slower. And I remember we were waiting for him to get to Kanan die.
Every night, me and Brad be like, "Oh, Bear's here."
He's getting closer, and then he took like a 2-week hiatus. And I'm like, dude, every once in a while I'm texting Scooter like, I am dying. One of those things where like it's like right before you send a dick pic to somebody, you're like, am I sending this to the right person? I didn't want to spoil it for Bear so
no.
bad. I'm like,
You did that.
okay, this is just Scoot. I can't believe he's not there yet. And then he watched him die and then didn't watch the follow-up episode.
I remember seeing the text, man. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
No, you. God damn it, Dave Filoni. What's your problem?
And dude, just how he was like, he had such an inferiority complex and such a fear of being a Jedi, and then his final act's to hold a exploding fuel depot back and save everybody on a ship.
And
Like,
knew it for the whole episode.
Yeah.
Angry cut his hair off because he's like, God, I have to do
Yeah.
this now. The wolves told me. I
Yeah,
have
the
to
wolves-
do
Yeah.
this, so now I have to do it. So let me just put my hair
Yeah.
back, cut it all off.
That episode started. He's like, "I'm gonna die this episode. Damn it."
Dang it.
and then what do they do worse? He's saving Hera, and they give him his eyesight back.
Oh.
One thing, like, oh, Dave Filoni, get out of here! Can you just do Order 66 again?
Yeah,
Greatest love story in history.
it
And
is.
then it took him like 3 or 4 days, and he watched the follow episode, which of course is the crew landing, and then the other Ghost Squadron people finding out, and like Chopper going up and holding Hera's hand. I remember Bearson's like, "Oh my god, I forgot the rest of the crew didn't know." He goes, "There it is. Send the picture, Brad. I have a picture of Chopper holding Hera's hand." It's just
It's the
whenever I'm
worst.
having too good of a day, I look at and just bring
Oh my
myself down to the level, and which I thought very funny. Bear and Lisa's anniversary is October 13th, and I sent him a gif of Kaden dying and said, "Happy anniversary."
God.
I was like, it's not the way to start the day.
A tale as old as time. It was the best. It was.
Hey, if I can be Kanan, happy.
But once again, like if we're the whole point of this is Maul's thesis of how we took a stock character and expanded and enriched them is we've expanded that now into that's what Dave Filoni does, and that's what Rebels did. Rebels lives in a section of time we had nothing going on. We just knew Luke and Ben were on Tatooine. That's all we really knew, and they filled it with a ton of stuff that didn't detract from it. It didn't take away from Luke becoming a Jedi because Ezra and Kanan existed, or that there were Inquisitors running around. It didn't detract from him being the chosen one because they never put it up that Ezra was the chosen one. And then with Callus, once again, oh, here comes Mutton Chops, this stock hair. He saw, and then
like an AT-AT driver, basically.
Yeah, he looked like the AT-AT driver. And then you're like, okay, there he is. And then they start developing him more. And then when he stuck with Zeb on, I think was it one of the moons of Geonosis?
Yeah.
And he stuck with Zeb, and Zeb is telling him, and then when he's like, hey, you can come with the Ghost Crew. Like, first of all, this guy murdered thought you murdered your entire race of people. And Zeb forgave him, and he's like, hey, you can come with us. You'll have to face what you've done, but they'll be fair about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. And then he watches Zeb go and like chest bump it. Like I said, I love that Zeb and Ezra were shitty brothers. Like they were just like always picking them and Chopper, and they're just like one episode they were just like rodeoing on Chopper, beating him up and running around and trashing each other's rooms, and it was great. But like when they got him back, like I said, they were like fist bumping and high fiving and hugging in a family. And Callus watched that, and then the Empire picked him up, and he's like limping in there, having survived this catastrophe. He's like, "Hey, I've got some info for you," and they're like, "Who cares?" And like he walked by, nobody cares he survived.
Yeah, sits in his empty bedroom,
sits in his empty cot, and puts the rock that Zeb gave him on the wall, and he just looks down at his feet, and God, you're just like. He realized he was on the wrong side, and they're like, "You're Fulcrum!" Oh my God!
And then from then on, whenever Callus is around, though, they still kept enough tension. Like I could never not be on edge. My heart rate raised.
Mine
Every
too.
Rebel episode I watched, he's gonna turn on him. He's gonna do something, but he never did, man.
Or even like you thought it was gonna be a one-off because when he saves it's the Mandalorian. I can't think. Sabine.
Yeah.
Saves Sabine, and I think Ezra. And they're like, "What the hell are you doing helping me?" So tell Gareth Zabarelius we're even.
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
And you're like, "Oh, okay." So he's got a sense of honor. He's still going to be Empire, but he helped him out. And then later, he's like, "No, I'm Fulcrum," and he, unfortunately, got served by Thrawn. But
oh my God!
But dude, it was they took such a once again they could have just kept him and then killed him off a few episodes later or something, or have him. They could have just had him so boring, but they took him and elevated him to something greater.
Oh yeah,
just so good how they do that. Oh, mom in the chat.
Yep.
Well, you'll have to rewatch it, Mom, because we showed a bunch of pictures at the beginning that I'm sure you remember because you took most of them. Also, our Star Wars collections that were the bomb because you were there.
Old house pictures.
Yeah, so
All right, here's the quick Vader.
That's
yeah.
We said it looked like Ralph McQuarrie.
That's what I was going. That's what I was going for.
He said it looked angry.
Yeah, that's what.
Or he said it looked
So I have this Darth Vader figure, and it's very much based on the McQuarrie.
Is that the Disney one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I thought. Man, that thing. They should have kept making those.
So yeah, there's that. All right. That was a lot of drawing.
That was a lot of drawing, a lot of talking.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of good time.
Let me bring up the Brad cam real quick. No, it's bigger here, so they can see you guys.
I have a Star Wars shirt on today.
Brad does.
I almost did. I don't want to be the guy that wore the.
All my Star Wars shirts have holes in them. I need to get some new
Yeah,
ones.
one of them's an exercise shirt, my cool one with the rainbow on it. I love that one.
Yeah.
Go to the Millington house and find the Rat Sorrell shirt and put it back on. I think it's still in my closet.
I was looking for the Clone Wars shirt. I had it
man.
upstairs. I didn't feel like getting it.
Yeah.
It Good art, man.
Justin said, "Hey, Mrs. Starnes." Justin, you can just call her mother.
Yeah.
Mother.
So, yeah, it's fun drawing Darth Maul. I really want to draw Darth Maul again. Originally, I started out drawing, and it was going to be a bigger piece, and it was going to be him like arm stretched out, pulling a panel off the wall. But
Wait till you get the one from the real toy.
yeah, the Hot Toys.
Oh, the Hot Toys.
Yeah.
The real doll. I mean,
I'll take a real doll Darth Maul any day.
Sarcophagus, you can draw them in there.
A real Maul. So yeah, Bear and Lisa and a bunch of folks chipped in and got me the Maul Hot Toys from season 7, and it's supposed to ship between November and December, and it's freaking November, and I'm December, and I'm like on edge. So I can't wait to get that to add it to my Star Wars shelf over here.
Coming over when you.
It's fine. We'll watch Clone Wars when we do
With the
it.
sarcophagus
He
and like
does.
panels and
He
all kinds of
does.
stuff. We're gonna, man, do they make clone trooper hot toys? Because we need
Yeah,
something
they
to
do.
add.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking about getting the Rex and the.
yeah.
Man, 901 has the bust I was gonna buy. It's
yeah.
$99. Could they
Worth it.
cancel my order?
Yep. Well, all right,
Star Wars.
man. Me
So
too.
good.
Oh, I was about to say, so I ran a 50K on Sunday, and this is mostly what I thought about. I was like, what am I going to talk about just to get through that?
I did it
Yeah.
all day at work today. I was like, what are we gonna
Next
do?
time,
Yeah.
next time we have Star Wars talk, John, we'll have you over too.
Yeah.
Have to.
It'll-
So
It'll
one
be
of one
called
of
Echo 3,
no, I was getting
Echo
ready to say
7.
one of my favorite stories from when John and I worked at Target together is he was there all morning and I was closing and I come over the walk in. I was like, Echo 3, Echo 7, John, oh buddy, do you read me? He just goes, oh my god.
I was on the same aisle as him, and he got so excited he didn't respond right.
He didn't.
He was like, is it just me or smell like cum dog? What is that?
Gotcha.
he dropped the line and we were all okay with it.
That was one of my favorites. So
Maybe beginning of the year we can do a book of boba. We can do like a boba one or something.
yeah, we do a boba.
We'll be watching that
And then
December 29th.
John could do the an evening with Boba Fett, and he could do the picture like I did with Cyclops with his boba collection. And then
Yeah.
we could have him over.
All right, John, be ready. Boba Fett episode, you're gonna be
Get
there.
on the road.
Yeah, I'll
Take
pay
John's
you
out.
$60 for the head sketch, and you just give John the boba when you're done.
That's cool. Yeah, I need more helmeted practice. So
Yeah.
that'd be the absolute best day. That was the absolute best day.
It's the only way we survive Target.
Yeah.
Being absurd.
Well, all right. That's 8:57. I mean, right on time.
Right on
Dang,
time,
right
yeah.
on time.
It seems like whenever we do an evening with, because that's what this was. We
Yeah,
clearly
this was
had
an evening with,
this
but
was not
Brad
a-
cleverly called it Deck the Malls. So
deck them all. Yeah, it's not a. Oh, we're gonna talk about Spidey today because we're drawing Spidey. We all came prepared. I left my notes, but we were all ready.
We were ready.
yeah,
It's big.
this conversation could go on a long time too, especially if I'm not concentrating on drawing.
And
Yeah.
that's why I didn't want to do just the Clone Wars. I even like the Clone Wars series. We even talk about Maul and then expand it into the deeper storytelling elements.
Yep.
Got more DMs coming.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I've been getting memes already.
Oh, have you?
Only one new entry. You don't get them. You don't get entries for everything.
I'm gonna make one.
All right, yeah. We'll next stream, yeah, it may not be till the beginning of the year. But that will be the one we'll draw the next giveaway. By that time I'll probably be at 7,000 followers. We'll see. The train's rolling. It's absolutely nuts. So
Yeah.
I can't believe it just keeps going up every day. So forever. Yep.
Post up your I'm sure you're gonna post up that Maul and it's gonna get a few thousand, and then you're gonna post up that marker sketch. So you can be like six
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
Cardboard
I've
Spidey all
got
over it.
head sketches for days to post up, so I've got content.
You get Maul in there. He'd break up the comic characters for a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, cool. I guess that's the end. Yeah, we may not see you guys till the beginning of the year. So hope everybody has a great holiday season.
We'll try to sneak another one in.
Yeah, we'll try to sneak another one. We'll see. 6 days is rough, but maybe we can do one right after Christmas or on Christmas Day. We'll do it Christmas Day.
Oh my God.
So instead of celebrating with your families, you can hang out with us.
Oh
But-
my God. Hope you're all Jewish or Islamic.
Yeah. But anyway, if we don't, hope everybody has a good holiday season. Stay safe, have fun, all that jazz.
May the force be with
May the force freaking be with you. Until then, lightsabers up.
Oh, mine's on the ground. Abby's laying on it.
Somebody help. Hold on. Let me help Brad. Hold on.
Mine's the loudest. Listen
If
to
you
this
got a
cannon go
lightsaber,
off.
hold up your lightsabers. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.